Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Synth Geekery, episode 262. It's nice to have you guys here. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had a show, so hope you have enjoyed that 2 weeks of break from seeing my ugly mug. I'm sure you guys have probably handled it okay. What this show's about is synthesizers and modular synths and everything to do with synthesizers, basically. You know, software synths, modular synths, eurorack, if you want to call it that. We also do hardware synths and desktop synths and keyboard synths. You can see some in the back there. We also do things like sequencers and drum machines, and we talk about all this gear. Music technology probably would be a good wrapping umbrella word if you want to go that way. Nice to talk about this stuff on a weekly basis, so we'll get back into our regular sort of routine. We have regular segments on the show where we do things like funny side and news, and we do have some of that this week, and we also do Price Watch, so stick around for those. So they're just our regular stuff. This week we're going to have a couple of topics that we're going to bite into, so I'll pre-announce it now, and so you guys can prepare yourself. So topic number one is the actual theme of the show, and that is make art, not content, and there's a bit of depth with that comment, so I'll go into it. I won't spoil it just yet, but just have a think about that and see if you can get deep and meaningful with it. That's the first one. And the second one, which is probably going to be a bit of a sore topic, and I do apologize to Andy, but I think it's very, very, very relevant, and that is that we're going to talk about, is your gear insured? And so we'll probably bite into that towards the sort of butt end of the show. So plenty to bite into. And without further ado, let's say hello to everybody that's here. We have a full gambit of video guests this week, and not to mention there's room for more. So don't be shy. We have Daren next to me on the right of me, and far right is Andy, and below me is Ian, and in the middle down the bottom is Chris, and we also have the Chatties in the box below. Nice to have you guys. We'll get to you guys in a sec. We'll do a quick sort of 2-minute how's your week been in a sec. Want to just cover a couple of housekeeping things first while we've got everyone here. First one is obviously you guys can join the show on Zoom. Zoom is up and running. That's the link if you want to do it. It's free to use Zoom. It's an app. You don't have to use the app. You can just use your browser. If you want, you can turn your camera off. You can come and go as you please. It's it's an open invite. So please join us. So bit.ly/Ranzee Zoom. That's the link. It doesn't change. So you guys can probably just bookmark that to get into the show. That'll probably help you. Don't forget too, this is a show that we do. We offer our time and our research and things like that. We do that for free for people. And I just noticed I've been watching quite a lot of podcasts over the last couple of weeks. And, you know, we know that YouTube aren't paying us as much anymore. There's not as much people around. There's different platforms. There's, you know, Twitch and Twitter and all sorts of other platforms. I might start looking at restreaming the show across other platforms like some of the other podcasters do. So we might start doing that just to try and sort of capture some different age groups because, well, it's a fact that not everyone's on YouTube anymore.
Well, you've gone on too long for TikTok.
Probably not. Yeah. Probably not TikTok, Daren. I think they'll throw like their I don't know what they'll throw.
I'm still an influencer on TikTok.
They'll throw their Pringles at us.
Oh, yes.
Anyway,
J. Cole, Mr. TikTok.
Yeah, if you guys do want to support the show, there's a couple of ways you can do it. Number one, obviously, is you can become a channel member just by clicking on the join button below. And for those, we'll talk about those in a minute. You can also join my Patreon, which is just patreon.com/Ranzee. Easy to find. Links to all this stuff, by the way, you scroll down, you can see them in the description of the video below. You can do things like super chats. Super chats are pretty cool. Great way to get your comment if you want us to talk about something, if you've got something that you want to ask us, if you think you've got a topic that you feel like we should talk. I kind of want to do more of that. I want to do impromptu super chat discussions. I think you've got some brains trust here. I think definitely not mine, but some of the other guys here, you know, we'll talk about what they've been doing in the industry so you guys can find out whether you want to dig into those fantastic minds which is how I say it. Well, beautiful minds is another way of saying it. Anyway, let's get on. Firstly, we're going to say hello to Daren, because he's got his head down. Hey, how's your week been?
Week's bit. It's that time of year for me at work, so it's like I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, so it's really knackering. Music aside, I've about say 90% finished my KBW24 set, so that's now 3 sets, so it's probably about 6 hours of constant live stuff that's now finished. Then I realised I haven't got a video for tomorrow, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a track out, which is an album that never came out. Well, I haven't really finished it, to be honest. Echoes, so I'm going to put Echoes track out tomorrow. So I've got that sorted. Other than that, it's been work. And like I say, messing about with a live set. It's taking me time up from doing other stuff, to be honest. And improving the live rig, even though it's not been out, I'm still improving it.
Well, you would do
if it doesn't work on that. If it doesn't work here outside, just on the landing tab thing, I'm not happy with it. So until doesn't mean it's going to work when it goes live. It'll probably be a disaster, but at least I know that it works here, and all the equipment set up. It's just that I need another carrying case now, so I'm just debating on whether I need a van rather than a car. And a
roadie.
Semi-truck. Roadie.
And definitely roadie, because I've worked out that I ain't going to be able to carry the whole lot in one go now.
Your roadie's got to be called Bruce, though. His name's Bruce.
Bruce.
So you can swear at him.
Yeah.
Bruce!
Oh, well, I'd take Rave, but...
He's got Rave, yeah. Rave! Put that knob back on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Stop playing with your knob, Rave.
Stop turning it to 11. It's, other than that, and I'll put the last video I put out. I think you all know what I put out last. It was a collab track between me and Inky.
Great track.
Big funny story behind that as well. I'm not going to go into it now. I might even do. What I was thinking is doing a podcast, not live. It'll be a recorded podcast with Rave, talking about the actual track, how it came about and what we did. And the funny things that happened. So that's in the pipeline, but it's going to be a while for that. It's hard work, he is. But other than that,
all that editing.
Awesome.
Wow.
Thanks for the update. Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm talking to yourself.
We're going to go next to Andy, who's over the other side of the world. Hey, mate.
Hey, everybody. Actually, I got some sleep. I look the same, but I got some sleep last night, so I do feel better than I usually do at this time of the morning. So.
Oh, good.
I had. It's good to be back on the show. I'm glad you had a break there, Ranzee. That was nice. I actually did have a nice little trip a while back. You guys, thanks for the comments on the little traveling videos. As you've heard, it did turn out to be one of the most expensive trips I've ever been on because while I was out, I was burgled, and there's about $15,000 worth of gear. So. Actually, the crazy thing is I have so much stuff. It took many days to figure out exactly all that was missing because I had to go back and watch. I shot these videos for Clown Fest and some other stuff, so inventory video, basically studio tour stuff, right? And it ended up being like, oh shit, that wasn't the video. That's missing now. Oh, yeah. That's missing now. Okay, I forgot about that was there. I thought it was somewhere else. So. Not only, as Ranzee was talking about insurance, which is important, but some of the stuff, the cost and the rarity and everything else, especially the rarity and the condition some stuff was in, it's not really replaceable very easily. Money is great, but some of that stuff is hard to come by. So that's more important to me than anything. Obviously, the money is important, but make sure your insurance is up to date. Make sure you have a security system of some kind. Just having someone at home usually isn't enough, because if they see you're gone for the weekend and everyone's gone, then no one's at home. And so opportunity. All they need to do is a quick internet search, very quickly. I don't have my phone number and address online on purpose. Nothing anywhere, but messages are a thing. I've paid for a friend years ago to find a friend from college that's not on social media. I paid, I don't know, it's like $85 or something like that. All of his information, all of his phone numbers, all of his addresses, all of his everything, so I could track him down. And it was a good thing. That's for good. But these guys are using, these things for nefarious purposes. And so I had a whole rant yesterday on Six Oscillator Show with Eddie.
Also the data leaks too, right? The black market data leaks.
Yeah, everything, right? But I mean, so never assume, oh, I don't tell anybody anything. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone's going to, if you're online at all, you shoot videos, people are going to see what you got. You have the mailman come by and, your door's open, like Robbie said yesterday on the show. He said somebody peeked in and goes, oh, you got some nice stuff in there. He went, oh, shit, I thought you couldn't see that. So now that guy is aware of what he's got. And, he has a security system, but, some security systems are good. Some aren't so good. Some people are bold, So I had a whole rant about this yesterday. If you're going to hear me, a very colorful rant. I'll be clean here, but just about the whole thing. And as well as we talked about MIDI, so it's nerding out of MIDI, which might be fun for some of you. But that's kind of it. So
fair enough.
Yeah, watch yourself. Know that you're being watched. They probably watched this show. So I already told them what to do, what they can do with themselves on yesterday's thing. So very colorful ways, including they should be hit by a bus or some kind of way to expire very quickly. But but that's it. Just never know. You never know who's watching. You're doing this stuff. You put your time, your money, and your effort out to not only share things with people, make friends, and maybe teach people something or other, and people use it against you. So just no matter how well intended you are, stuff can be twisted around, and that's it. So be careful out there.
Yeah. Some good advice, buddy. Good advice indeed. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, and commiserations again, mate. Commiserations.
But don't stop having fun. That's the thing. I mean, I'm obviously bummed out, but it's not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. The cat's already out of the bag, so for me to retreat now is kind of stupid because, the video's already out there.
Yeah. And
people have already seen, and those guys have already seen everything I've got. So how am I going to hide that now? So it's just kind of pointless.
Well,
so just protect yourself, go have fun, and don't worry about the a-holes out there. So
it's probably a good way to be, though, Andy, to be fair, because we'll dig into this later, but it's probably a good way to be because it shows that you're going to bounce back and you're not going to let this stop you doing what you love. No,
I mean,
exactly.
I mean, it's hardly other types of victimization. It's hardly, there are way worse things that could happen to somebody physically, emotionally, psychologically, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is just a super bummer, and I realize that I really have the lack of faith in humanity that I had before amplified.
Yeah,
indeed.
But I'm not completely bummed out and nasty and whatever. I just, it's just.
Yeah, you're not going to turn into a recluse.
It's
just you just realize
just
there are shitheads out there, and you just have to deal with it. So
exactly. Yeah. There's a wider spectrum of people out there, unfortunately.
I think there's another side of it too, which we'll bite into, but that's the side where you do feel a little bit invaded. In that, you kind of feel you feel a bit dirty.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's your personal space.
Yeah,
but they didn't take anything personal except for some of the gear I really liked. So that's the only thing personal about it. They didn't take valuable personal items.
Yep, they targeted.
It wasn't vandalism and stuff like that. It was just target, get in and out. Super, like I said on before, they dropped a couple of things on the way out. Because either they realized they were out of time, or they heard something, or something freaked them out, and they literally dropped something by the door that was a valuable item, and it's like, oh, thank goodness. But so that tells me, and this is the way I know this happened when I was a kid. We went to the county fair, and our family home was broken into, clearly by some kids, probably some idiots down the street who were kind of ne'er-do-wells, and one of them became a cop, actually, oddly enough, growing up. And turned out to be an okay guy, but when they were younger, they were real jerks. And we had our house broken into, and there was my parents' clock radio was on the bed. This is how old it is, back when people bought clock radios and stuff, And the clock radio was on the bed as we came in the house, So someone basically got spooked and went, oh shit, threw the clock radio in bed and ran out, the door. So we caught him in the act, I think.
Yes, indeed. All right, we must move on. Ian, how's your week been, bud?
Hey. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. How's my week been? Right, started with launched the audiophile radio show on Sunday because it was the first of the month. Pleased to say, over here in the UK, we've got something called the Mercury Music Prize, which has gone to a band from Leeds who I first played on the audiophile radio show back in 2021 before they got signed. So I was quite pleased about that. They're a really good band. I've listened to their album. It's called When We're in Texas, I think, something like that. What else? Put an EMOM album out yesterday. 2 EMOM albums went out yesterday. And can I just say a particular thanks to Marky, who not only bought the albums, but bought our whole back catalogue. So thumbs up to you, matey. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. I need to work out how to pay everybody, but we'll get to that. I've been buying stuff. I've bought synth covers. So nice. I'm getting sick of actually dusting everything. So I found a company.
I always tell people buy those covers. They're important.
Yeah. This is a small company in Burnley they're actually called Anne's Tweeds, but they do all sorts. They're handmade. These things.
Bank of Dave, Burnley.
Yeah.
The Bank of Dave.
Anyway, so we've got Anne and Daniel, who I had a few email conversations with. I'm actually buying up everything. I'm buying one for everything. Because they make them, they're doing them in groups of 5. So this is for the TRS-8, 25 quid. Nice. And it's got a little. They've all got Velcro at the back, so you can still leave stuff connected. So they're absolutely fantastic. Like I say, I've just ordered another load. So if you fancy them, tell them I sent you. What else has been going on? I started work on the next Mo album for Dave Walker. So I've been sequencing that. I've started mastering it. I've only mastered 1 track so far, but that's it really. I think don't think there's anything else. So good week really. Quite busy. No complaints really.
Beautiful. Awesome. Right, and there's a few more to look at, but we'll go to Chris next. Hey, Chris, how's your week been?
It's not been too bad. I'm just hell sick of technology and routers and Wi-Fi. We bought a new router, and I bought a new router for my dad, and I was brought kicking and screaming because I thought I don't know much about networking, and it turns out that it's quite true. Anyway, so we won't bore people with that story. Suffice to say, I am so sick of networking stuff. But
I
this
hate
week,
networking stuff too.
Yeah. But this week, or really the last 2 weeks, I have a new phone. That looks weird on the screen.
Looks broken.
It does, but that's
take it back.
Something to do with. Ooh,
yeah.
Okay. No, that was just the picture being. I got a Google. Believe it or not, I got a Google.
A Pixel.
Google Pixel 8, which I only got out kicking and screaming, taking away from my old Sony Compact Z1, because my old Sony doesn't do the Volt thingo, and we're going all Volt here, so
what's Volt?
Wasn't going to work. Yeah, Volt, voice over LTE, which is basically voice over 4G. They're turning off 3G, which was the last thing to do voice a different way, and my phone was no longer compatible. So it's forcing a lot of people in Australia to get new phones, basically. But I have to say, I quite like this thing. I quite like the Google. So
yeah, my daughter-in-law's got one.
Interesting.
She likes it. It's really good.
It's an Android, right?
Really nice. It is an Android.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it, and this is part of what influenced me to go this direction, is that I have already invested a lot in Google stuff, YouTube and all the other Google accounts and stuff that you have. So I thought, well, they'll integrate it the best, and sure enough, they did. They integrated it so well that today I accidentally started streaming the ProSynth network to my mum's television while she was in the middle of watching the news, which was a bit embarrassing. But
could have been worse.
It could have, yes, exactly. I'm glad I was watching Pro Synths Network, not something else. Yes. No, I don't watch things like that. I don't watch things like that.
Not only synths.
No, not only synths. There are many other embarrassing things I could have had on there, but not that one. So yeah, there's Robbie turning up in the middle of my mum's news broadcast, but she'd fallen asleep, so it was actually
Robbie gets everywhere, doesn't he? Hey,
he does.
He
just wants this. Yeah. He'd probably love the fact that he had his face somewhere on television somewhere. So I know how much he loves.
I did see Robbie
in
the
Australia
chat before, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I've been playing with the Livens, the Ambient Zero. I like the Ambient Zero. I very much enjoy playing with the Ambient Zero. And I also went back to the Texture Lab because people asked me which one they should get. And I thought I should really test that again because I haven't played with the Texture Lab for a while. And I have to say, I'm not really getting along with the Texture Lab. I'm finding it very hard to get stuff out of it that's inspirational. Whereas the Ambient Zero is very inspirational. So I thought that was interesting. I've gone back to Chris Lodi's video on the Texture Lab to brush up on what I've forgotten about the Texture Lab because I just wasn't getting very far and clearly I was missing a whole lot of things. So I will try again on the Texture Lab because people are probably interested. The 962 that I ordered, the sequential switch, has arrived, and I've put the 960 and the 962 in a module by themselves, which is now my sort of portable sequencer. I'm thinking of actually trying to hook up the steps to the bands on the Spectravox. Thought that might be interesting to kind of sequence the different bands.
Just be careful, mate. The electrons are going to fall out.
I know. Well, you can already see there's electrons dangling because there's a cable there. That power's going to waste.
Damn.
There's some news on the 96, not the 962. But it's related to the 962 a bit later, so we'll talk about that.
Related to switches. Switches are very useful. I found some useful tricks to do with switches. You can really spice up your step sequences by putting in, having it actually switch through quite rapidly at the clock rate, and you actually can do things like add kind of a counterpoint note, a fixed counterpoint note underneath your normal sequences, which creates a kind of really interesting kind of arpeggio-like pattern. I was playing with that before I put it in there, and I was quite enjoying that. I thought, I like switches. They're very
Have
cool.
you noticed with the 962, when you actually, you know the big switch down the bottom, which switches between skip and that one,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that if you actually get it stuck in between positions, it sends a gate and it does a hold. It's kind of weird.
Ooh.
So have a play with it. I mean,
Yes,
it might be a bug.
It might be just the way the circuit works. Yes, I'll play with that. I've been doing a bit of machining. The little GP82 modules. Actually, I'll go back to this first. Speaking of the Livens, I'm designing some of my stands, my 3D printed stands for the Livens to put them on an angle. That's one thing I found with the Liven Ambient Zero. Some of the legending or the writing above the knobs is just it's above, very close to the knobs, so you actually start to lose. You can't see them when you view it on an acute angle, and I found that was kind of a problem. So I really think it needs to be tilted up on an angle. So I'm building some stands to do exactly that. What else is going on here? I was talking about the switch extensions on the GP82. You probably know the GP82. You can kind of see it there. Those little switch extensions, I was doing a big batch of machining of those. Ready for the next batch when they go. And been doing a bit of circuit design for new modules. Sorry?
What are the switch extensions for?
Okay. Sorry. I will get the right button eventually. Okay, so the little micro switch there at the top, there's a little, next to the LED, there's another sort of glassy transparent item. That is actually the extension for that little micro switch that pushes through the panel so that you can press the button. It's just a switch extension, but it's a bespoke one because I didn't know how to. I couldn't find one that was right for the module back when I designed it. So these ones are machined out of acrylic on my lathe, and you get a custom made little switch extension in every GP82 when you buy one, or you buy the kit. If you buy the kit, you get to put it on the end. And
so instead of poking something in the hole, is that basically what you mean?
The alternative is one of those long switches, and I hate those long switches. They're horrible to. They just don't feel nice. They don't look nice, and you can't really see them because they're black. Whereas this is catches the light quite nicely, and it's got a nice tactile feel on the top. My future modules won't be going with this design though, because I have now since found a manufacturer who can produce very nice switch caps for those types of switches, and not taking up any more room. So this is a unique thing for the GP82.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No worries. All right.
No worries. Yes, last thing, as I said, I am working on new modules. So I had a little bit of time this week to work on 2 new modules. One of them is related to one of the modules I showed at the beginning of the year. I can't remember if it was January or December. That had, it was called the Targent. It was a triple attack gate release module, so triple envelope generator. Mm-hmm. And I talked about it had, a module that you plugged in at the back. That I've scrapped that idea, and I'm going to go for an expander instead. So a module that you actually screw in beside, which will get more facility, easier to use. It makes a lot more sense. But I need to send off some more boards and PCBs to get manufactured for the GP82 and the Targent main module. So I'm trying to quickly design this module. It's a fairly simple module, so that I can maximize the shippage on the manufacturing for the PCBs. So I think that's it. Oh, and one last thing. Ranzee, I am working on a Name That Synth.
Oh, nice. It's been a while since we've had one.
I know, except it's really technically a Name That Drum machine. But it still falls into the category. It's probably not a surprise for anyone here that I've got another drum machine that I haven't shown you. Yes.
That's good.
I am drum obsessed.
Excited.
Hey, Chris, quick
All
question. Do you have a link
Sure.
for that programmer thingy for the GP82? I lost mine. I want to load the latest firmware because I'm behind.
Okay.
Do you have a
no
link
worries.
on your site to download that, to get the information so I could buy it somewhere?
No, I actually don't. But I can email you one after
Cool,
the show.
thanks, yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you, yeah. Because I'm behind. I don't know how many revs you've done by now, but I'm still on the original factory firmware. So,
Right, yeah. I think we had 1 or 2.
so my LEDs are bright.
Yeah. That's
Awesome.
one of the things we fixed, yeah.
Let's keep going. Henrick's joined us on Zoom, and see Zoom works. Hey, Henrick.
Hey, Henrick.
Nice to have you, buddy.
Hi. I
Hiya.
have to say, my battery is getting low, and I forgot my headphones, so I can't hear what you're saying. Almost.
He's plugging the show later today.
So,
There's a senior stream.
Sorry?
Oh, you gave
You're
him...
plugging the show.
It stole his
senior stream later
thunder.
today.
How's my picture? Is it good enough?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Nice and clear.
Choppy, but
Very
nice,
good.
Yeah.
I'm at a synth event. Shall I show something from here?
Sure. Go for it.
Okay. I have to say, I start with filming the floor because I promised someone to not make him public. So I'll walk in, and at first you see the floors, but you've seen that in other streams, so it's okay. I'll turn the camera.
Carpet. We've got some carpet and some floor.
Yep. Some good old Danish floor there.
Power
Yeah.
boards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Straight from the rainforests.
Modular.
And then say that I can end up.
See, they don't just eat pastries over in Denmark. They actually do make music.
Good cheese, though. I love Havarti.
Yeah, very nice.
This is the hassle.
Oh, I recognise some new modules there.
Mantis case.
Mm-hmm. He's escaping. Quick.
He's escaping. Ooh,
Don't trip over.
people have been asking questions.
I have to turn the camera.
That's mobility scooter.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing
Yeah,
us.
and I'll put the volume so I can hear you. It's a nice event. Everyone is demonstrating what they have in their racks and telling about all the modules. And it's really interesting. It doesn't look like much, but the sound is great. I have some videos that I will post at some time, and some of it will be brought tonight in the senior stream, but not all because of I have to hide that person. But yeah, that's what I can tell about this event. It's really nice. People are nice, and if we want to, we can exchange modules later. And all that. It's really
nice.
a nice event. I've got
Like
to
a swap. Yeah,
try this
good.
again.
Very nice.
Yeah, I got to try this again when I'm not filming, because now I have to, when I get home, edit something to use on the stream, and that will take time. I also have to eat before the stream, and it's not easy. So, but that's all from Copenhagen for this time.
Oh, it's lovely for you to
So
share.
thank you for letting me.
Yeah.
Good luck with your
Thank
stream
you,
tonight.
Henrik, it's cool.
Thanks. I hope you'll watch it either tonight or later.
It'll be later for me, but definitely watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Good to
Henrik.
see you, Henry.
See you later.
Hey, Henrik.
Yeah.
Okay, so Henrik's disappeared, so I'll probably put the chatties back in the corner for now, and we can, if anyone else wants to jump in, we can add them in or take them out or whatever the case may be. So it's all good, and it's not being disrespectful for him. We just don't want to see him pause. Like, we could actually, guys, we could all just do a quick. Oh yes, that actually does look real. As long as you kind of don't move.
It's scary.
Has the stream stopped?
Now, what would be really impressive is someone could actually do the motion blur. That would be impressive.
That would be impressive, yes. And make sort of
Do you
weird
remember those
digital glitch sounds.
motion blur.
Yes.
Do you remember those goofy challenges people used to do? They're really on TikTok and other things where you there's one where you would all freeze and somebody goes to the room with a camera while the song plays. And I was part of one of those ones.
Yeah.
Very silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
It is very silly. Speaking of very silly, all the chatties. No, they're not really. They're actually very lovely.
All the cupcakes. Sorry.
Yeah, Anthony, you've got a cupcake addiction, and I think you probably should get it checked by somebody. Nice to have you anyway, Anthony. By the way, if you guys see people in the chat room with the Synth Geekery logo next to their name, they are our channel members. And there's guys like Future World Machines and Kent Spong, and obviously Chris has got one as well, and Andrew Brooks, who you'll see there as well. Big hello to Brooksy. Keith and Watford, and who else did I see that had one of those fantastic logos next to their name? Probably JX3D would be another one, who we just saw in Copenhagen. And there's David, who you'll see is Asif Stripe, which is his handle, I guess you want to call it. Anyway, so a big hello to the channel members. If I don't think I've forgotten anyone. I think I've got them all. Other than that, you also have our regular chatties as well. So people like Men with Beard and Bert, Azio Head, and Half God, Half Beast. Nice to have you guys. Also Jack's there, and Matt Brown. Nice to have you. And Sean's there as well. And I think Dead Men Walking popped in, and a few others like Marky, and I think I said hello before to Anthony. But there's plenty more, and we're not going to go through them all, but I just thought I'd mention some of them, and you can see them on your screen anyway. But actually, the kind of more sort of crazy stuff that goes on in the show, if you've never seen it before, is this segment. Who's been missing this segment?
Definitely.
Probably nobody. This one was sent in by Big Fella Steve, who regulars our Discord. Don't mind me, just stealing some ambient samples from Mother Nature. Yes. Very good.
It's topical.
Yes.
Been doing the same thing with the Texture Lab.
Yes.
Well, it's funny because that shovel
quite as
icon
pretty as that.
is like the EOZ1 Play sample thing has the little waveform with the shovel. So.
Oh, okay. That's really cute.
Yeah. It was my son's birthday the other day, and that looks very similar to the slice of cake that we had. Really similar, like colours and everything. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's bizarre. Next is this one. Me. Why am I so broke all the time? Everyone. Why not buy less synths? Me. No, not that. Something else.
No, that can't be a reason.
Now, this meme triggered the whole internet because of the grammar police. The grammar police just went nuts over this because the word less. By the way, I didn't write the.
Oh no!
I didn't write
that
the.
does trigger people, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. It should be.
Yeah. We also
fewer.
need
Fewer. Supposed to be fewer.
Yeah.
Synths.
It should be fewer, right?
We only need one question mark, not two.
Yes, well, and also not many people can read what he actually says, which is the punchline,
Down
really.
below,
And inconsistent use of quotations.
Yeah,
The quotations are not there on the bottom statement.
And is
that
me,
because it was internally thought?
is me actually saying synths, or is that everyone? I'm not sure because the kind of line gaps are not right. Anyway.
It's very common in America to say less other than fewer, so that's probably an
it's a very US-y thing, this one. But anyway, I thought I'd share it, and I did do a bit of editing on this where I added the word synths and probably a modular system. So it did say something else before, and I changed it. So anyway, next is another analog mono synth.
It's that guy again.
And that triggered a whole lot of people like thinking, what's wrong with getting another mono synth? The whole thing was really built to trigger people, and let's see if it works again on the show.
Well, the great thing is the guy got a gift of something he's already wearing. So,
well, I mean, look, the good news is, if he's got a bit of a stinky armpit problem going on right now, he could just get changed into the shirt. No one would know. Other than the fact that they won't smell him so much.
I'll have to try using that excuse, which is the excuse that why do you need another? You need another mono synth? Well, because this one's dirty. So I need another one.
You guys know what Avon is? My grandmother used to be an Avon lady, and she would give us stuff at Christmas time. Are you trying to tell us we stink? What is this?
All right. So Half God, Half Beast, and probably Half God, Half Beast is probably speaking for a lot of other people. I don't get it. What's wrong with getting another mono synth? Well, okay, I'm with him, right? I'm on his side. I've got many mono synths in here, and in fact, I ordered another one today. So don't include me in this. But there is a train of thought out there that you can only have so many mono synths because they pretty much all do a very, very similar thing, to the point where that's kind of more like someone who doesn't really sort of get into the nitty-gritty of synths, so they're just a bit more superficial. So if you're looking at it from a superficial point of view, not quite like, why do you need so many pianos? Not that superficial, but more sort of, I've got one mono synth, that's enough. I probably should have a poly. I might have, you know, that sort of superficiality with synthesizers is probably where we're going to with this.
Well, one could argue too many Moog model synths at once could get really muddy, unless you really know how to use your filters properly and thin things out and stuff. So
yeah.
These are big sounds.
So
Well,
it kind of it triggers people. This really triggers people.
You can fix the meme several different ways, can't you? Using the analogy, you can change the color of the shirt.
Yep.
Of the one that's replacing it, and that's
Could be a different
you
filter.
You could move the pin stripes further apart. You can take
different
buttons off and
oscillators,
put the buttons back on.
digital, analog,
You can change the style of the collar.
different types of envelope
You
generators.
can get a size that's 2 sizes too big. You know,
Yeah.
there's lots
Desktop,
of ways.
keyboard version,
Exactly.
modular. Look,
Basically.
the thing is, it just triggers people, and
It
in
does.
that case, it's one. Next, so we just turn Andy off for a sec.
Yeah.
When you tell a whole story and you forget to unmute your mic, me, me, at the start of the show, probably 100 times already. Hey, Daren.
Got a few.
I filmed
should
the
put
whole
a compo
video and
together.
didn't
All
ma-
of them.
I think even I've muted myself.
Yeah.
We should get
People
all
start
of
a
your.
show with it muted.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Someone
actually
should edit
filmed a
all of them
series.
together.
I filmed a series of videos and didn't switch the mic on.
Oh yeah, we've done that.
So I filmed for about half an hour,
Oh, no.
separate videos.
Oh, no, Ian.
And I didn't have the heart to go back and do it again. And they've never been redone.
Did you
They've
have
never
a
been redone.
Did you have a bit of a rage after that? Did you?
Oh man, I was just like, for God's sake, you
A few-
fool!
A few F words were uttered.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Ian, I feel you, mate. I don't think I've ever done that, but
I've had
think
a whole conversation with Rave and not recorded that. How bad's
no.
that when you have to edit?
Oh no, yeah.
that would be
Well,
weird.
He's hard to.
Oh, you're going to
wrangle,
have to show
guy,
that, Daren. Anyway.
It's hard work, I'll tell you.
Do you remember the days when we? It's probably not really that long ago, but where you could multi-sync videos, right? You could bring them into Adobe Premiere and multi-sync them if you did the clap, right? You did the clap and it would multi-sync them. I don't know if you guys know about this, but it's part of video editing land, right? YouTubers do it.
Oh yeah.
One day I forgot to do the clap.
Oh.
I filmed all this stuff and it was a complete nightmare to sync it all up. But what made it even worse is I usually record on, this is in the old days when I had less gear, I used to record on a Zoom recorder my sort of, my mix down. And because it was nice and clean, it was a good recorder, I forgot to press record on the Zoom recorder as well. So I forgot to clap and I forgot to do the actual mix. So the only quality audio that I had was coming into one of the cameras. It was a nightmare. I persevered, Ian. I actually persevered with this, and that video does exist on my YouTube channel.
My
could
first
probably
few
find that.
like Harbor Jam type things on my channel, I didn't have the mic. I was just doing music. So I would hit a key visually on camera and I would sync that up later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. I think there's one more. Let me just mute Andy for a sec. One more, and here it is. Couldn't figure out why my music kept pausing. For those who have dogs.
It's definitely.
Where's Kent?
Definitely one for Kent and the pub. Definitely.
Yeah.
My dog Bonnie
Whatever.
she hasn't quite worked out. I bring her up onto my lap here on the desk, but she hasn't quite worked out that there's a whole bunch of skullduggery that she could get up to if she wanted to. But she just sleeps. She's like, in 2 seconds flat, she's snoring. And, but I'm sure Kent's dogs are like this. They probably give him a lot of, entertainment, shall we say?
Well, they're always hitting his expression pedals, so he has no audio.
Yeah.
Lily is evil. That puppy is evil.
Oh, yes.
I'm not going to Kent
Antichrist
while she's still a puppy.
Puppies are the best.
Anyway, that is it for the memes, everybody. So please let us know in chat, and also you guys let us know what your favourite meme of the week is, please. It's kind of like of the last 3 weeks, really, isn't it? What's your favourite meme for the last 3 weeks? Because we've just done one show in 3 weeks.
I actually forgot. We went through them so slowly this time. I forgot some of them.
I want to remind you. Okay.
Go on, reminder.
Yeah.
First one was
Yes,
the
'cause
slice,
we're old people,
the
we need
ambient
reminders.
slice, right? Mother Nature ambient slice. Second one was why you broke buying so many synths with the spelling grammatical
like
error.
a TikTok generator.
Yeah, another mono synth was the other one. The guy with the stripy shirt. When you tell a whole story and you forget to unmute your mic, and then there's the nose on the pause button on the keyboard. The dog's nose.
The nose on the keyboard. Yeah, that's good.
It's got to be the mic for me, hasn't it? The unmuted mic.
The mic, yeah.
Having been there and got the t-shirt. Forgetting
to unmute says Brett. Mono synth says Chris. Dog pausing. Shirt says Brooksy. Dog pausing, mute. Looks like the pausing dog's getting it, I'd say.
Yep.
There we go. Everyone went with the one that they could remember the most recent.
It's kind of simple and requires very little editing and manipulation. They're the best.
Imagine if we would literally having that dog pressing mute on the whole stream. Oh, sorry, pause on the whole stream, and all of a sudden we're like, because the dog's.
Well, the nose angle reminded me. There's a commercial here for a dog with these bacon flavored things called bacon strips, and it's just the nose is going bacon, 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 bacon. He's following through the house, bacon, bacon, bacon. Remind me of that with the dog. So.
Yes, and Babs is doing the jokes. Right. Yes. We should do some news. It's been a while.
Yeah.
There's not much though. There really isn't much, which is kind of weird because it's been 3 weeks since I've done news, and I struggled. I kind of made some decisions about, well, should I do this? Should I do that? I probably shouldn't. So I've decided to pick 4 things, possibly 5 if we got time this week. Starting with this one, I thought this one was interesting, and I'll tell you why I've picked it. I don't do a lot of software synths. I know you guys probably like to talk about software synths because it's a big part of what you do, so you'll probably enjoy it if that's the case. But this is Model 77. This is by Softube. Softube have released quite a few decent bits of gear over the time. But the reason why I wanted to show this one is because it's obviously modeled after the CS80, but not quite. So it's modeled after the CS80 and the CS60 and the CS50. So, because they talk about 3 synths of that era, 3, that era, but they don't actually mention them. But we've had a bit of a look at what this is about, and it can't be a 70 because it's different voice architecture, and it can't be any of the earlier ones because they've got different voice architecture. So it really can only just be the 50, 60, and 80. In this particular case, and if you look at all the patches and presets that are on here, you will understand that that's what they've gone after. Anyway, I kind of feel like we probably should address the elephant in the room, and that is competitors. There's already some decent analog modeling type CS80 / whatever VSTs that are out there, and an obvious one would be Cherry Audio. Cherry Audio have got the I think it's called the GX80, the GX80, and then you've got Arturia's CS80V, and there's a few others.
I've got that one.
I've got the CS80V, but
yeah, me too.
Anyway, do you guys want to check out the video, and then we can check out maybe a little demo of this? Check out the video first, hey?
Sure.
So what I might do is this, and then unmute it, and then, God, I've got mouses and stuff going everywhere. So we go to here. We'll just take Andy off for a sec. Well, there you go. I mean, it's not a massive video. I think it's quite short and sweet, and I think it's quite good. Now, let's head on over to the Mac, because I do have... I've downloaded the demo version of this. I'm not going to buy it.
I was slightly distracted by the drums on that, actually.
Yeah.
Well, there's no drums in this. Yeah, so good point there. Anyway, let's what can we do? We can bring the Mac in here, can't we? So we can all kind of look at it.
That's like something Berrigan would do. Put the drums in there.
Here it is, guys. So we've got... Now, this thing does boast poly aftertouch as well. So if you do have a keyboard with poly aftertouch, it does boast it. But there's all kind of...
Try getting crazy with the ring mod when you get a chance. I'm curious.
It's called Equinox. Pretty lame, to be fair.
Yeah, there's no MPE though, is there? I think that was mentioned on PSN last night.
Right. I'm just going to go through a
something
couple.
about the 2 layers making it challenging.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
So, I mean, these things, it's kind of, what do you want to achieve when you get a VST? It's not going to be a CS80. It's not going to be a CS50 or a 60 either. It's going to be a digital emulation. You are going to get some of the nuances, I guess, with this. What I would probably want to see in here is how accurate are the envelope generators, because we do know that on a CS80, the VCA envelope is different to the VCF envelope. So have they done that? I can't tell because I don't have a CS80 to compare it to, and I do have a CS80 clone envelope on my Rachel module, but it's probably not the same as a CS80 from what I've been told. So I can't check that. And I mean, there's thousands of presets in here. There's a preset browser actually, which is quite interesting. So you can go through this thing. Let me just go full screen for you guys. You can sort of do it by lead synth, and let's say it.
Cool if we had a preset work.
Polysynths, single layered flute. Bright and brassy. Should we do Africa?
Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum. I'll do the drums.
I'm not doing any more because I got a copyright strike. It's probably one I'm not going to do any more.
That's better than I can do. I don't even know the chords. Love the song, but I don't know the chords.
It's an A, a B. I forget what the B is. Is it a B minor? And then it's C sharp sus something or other. The last one is kind of a weird one. I forget what it is.
Yeah, I have to pull out my chord book to understand most of that.
Anyway, that is the Model 77. A little quick look at it. It's not staying with me. I don't think I need it. I've got the CS80V from Artura. I think it does the job. For me, I don't get that nerdy into software synths, so it's not going to be something that I will go, oh my God, this is better. It sounds better. It sounds different. I think basically the biggest selling point with this is they are saying that there's some patches in here that are Vangelis-like. There's some patches in here that are other artists, and that it's real sort of quick go-to. They're talking about the interface. Now, actually, one thing I want to mention about the interface is something about it that kind of annoys me. I want to show you the CS80V while we're at it.
I like the really old CS80V with the little fans in it that were never there.
I've got that one, the CS80V too. Yeah, I've got that one as well.
Right.
With the panels.
So the CS80V actually does have the panels, right?
Yeah.
But you'll see here that everything is here. Okay, everything is here.
Yeah.
and you can actually make it bigger and smaller and all that sort of stuff, like some of them, right? But this one here, it does have this little expansion thing. See how that kind of pops in and out? Why didn't they just make this thing a little bit taller and just include that? Like, was it just not enough?
Yeah, dumped it down a bit.
They've just dumped it, yeah. So that's kind of annoying. I kind of feel. I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, it's one thing to give people that option, but to make it as a permanent decision is always challenging thing to do to your audience, I find. Give them something. This is what you've asked for. Well, some of you have asked for this. Some of you maybe have not asked for this, and sorry, you don't get the old interface. Give us the choice, please, people. Manufacturers.
Also, if you're going to do that, then also add some new stuff to it, right? I mean, if you're going to kind of bastardize the interface, then add some new crazy stuff to it. Why not? You've already changed it, you know?
So Man with Beard wants to know the price. $99 US at the moment. I think it's discounted, so I think it goes up to 169 or something.
159.
Yeah,
euros size. So
now I kind of feel that's. I don't know, how much do you pay for software synths these days? So that's a lot of money, $99 for a software synth.
You'd be better off with the Cherry Audio version, because that's about, is it $49? It's like half
it's cheaper.
price, isn't it?
The GX80
is $50. Yeah.
Even better when you buy the big bundle.
Cherry.
Yeah.
So
So Softube,
pricey.
but Softube do have some big backers. There's people that like that, people that rate them. So I think it's one of those, are you a Softube person, are you a Cherry Audio person, or are you a Cherry? I'm not going to get involved in those fights.
Wow.
I guess that's a thing, right? You become software synth brand, you become a Arturia fanboy, or you become a Softube
aligned
fanboy.
with a particular brand,
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of sense in that, because of course you usually get discounts for bundles, and they usually give you a special deal if you've already bought one of their synths. So it's very hard to, they reward loyalty now. So it's very hard for customers to sort of not take that on board as,
Well, they have to reward you too, because you're spoiled for choice now, even for CS80 copies. So it's like, there's so much. When I used to do soft synths and I was totally poor, didn't have that much hardware, you didn't even have all these cool plugins. You had very few to choose from, and you also had none of the hardware to go to.
Yeah.
The CS80s were rare, and they didn't have, Behringer wasn't making stuff, and so there was a time when soft synths were king for me, because they were portable and I could afford them, and they were good enough. Obviously the old Arturia, the TAE stuff, is not what they have now. It's way more accurate, but it still sounded cool to me, and it looked cool, so I was happy enough,
Yeah, the vintage collection, or whatever it's called, the Arturia stuff, is really, really good. Really good. Like, I've used it in albums. That's how good it is. So,
Sure.
Yeah. Even their Fairlight, the Fairlight virtual synth is actually really cool. And to the point where you put your own samples in and manipulate them like a Fairlight. It's actually, it's that good. It's probably not like, the most perfect, all facets of the Fairlight have been emulated. It's not one of those.
I'm happy with the iPad Fairlight. That thing's amazing.
The one that actual Peter, the one that Peter wrote.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I know it's a subset of it. It's not everything, but you can load your own samples, and you can do all the
He got in
FFT
trouble.
stuff.
I think he got a bit, I don't know if it was in trouble with, I don't know. There's a story about, there was a story about
Some
that.
brouhaha about that? Oh, interesting.
Not Kent, Robbie will probably be able to tell you more about it, because he knows him. But I'm pretty sure he got in trouble. Anyway, that's the Model 77 from Softube. So go check it out, and hopefully Softube leave some money on the fridge for me. Right.
Can ask about the ring mod. Is it the panel that goes away? Is that the ring mod?
That panel doesn't go anywhere.
Bottom right.
No, the pop-out panel.
That
is
one
it
there.
Is it the ring mod? Is that what the ring mod is, or is it?
The ring mod is right on the screen.
The ring mod is here, isn't it?
Oh, there it is. Okay, over there.
Yeah, it's over there.
Kent was asking where it is, so I just don't know if it's missing. I don't know the synth very well.
Yep.
Next to the reverb.
On the right-hand side, anyway. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go to this. This is the Extend-o-Matic. Another kind of chord machine. Interesting.
Oh.
This is by the Oscillator Company. TOC, or the oscillator you can see down the bottom right-hand corner. It's interesting. Now, this is actually a Kickstarter project by them at the moment, and I'm going to play the video. I'm not going to play all of it. You guys can check that out in a little bit. But it is basically a chord machine with, they're claiming with, this thing is sort of aimed at giving it to people who aren't very good at learning music theory, and they want to just get access to chords quickly and progressions and
It's like
that
chord
sort of
pot
stuff.
with proper keys.
Yeah, but also on top of that, it's a synthesizer, 8-voice polyphonic synthesizer, would be digital, right? And an electric piano, and the synth engine has 3 oscillators, 9 effects, and there's so they've kind of fattened it up with a bit of extra stuff. I feel like I don't think it has a screen, right? I think you have to kind of connect this up, and there might be some sort of like plug-in or app or something. I'm not sure, but anyway, let's check out the video. If I can find my mouse, let's go to here, and we'll have some sound.
Extend-o-Matic, an exciting new instrument that makes playing complex chords easy. It merges a synthesizer and electric piano sound engine with a chord trigger system and variety of effects that let you play chords across a range of genres without years of training. This device was built with playing extended chords in mind, which is actually how it got its name. You typically see extended chords in genres like jazz, neo-soul, and funk, but it's versatile enough to accommodate a wide variety of styles.
I don't want to go into the whole explanation of how this thing works, because it kind of becomes a little protracted that way. But let's just have a quick look at it. Now, the design of it, I kind of feel like it's a very interesting placement of the modern pitch wheels. I don't really think that would actually help anyone for them being there.
No.
That's like on the Micron. The Elisa's Micron has them kind of positioned like that.
Yes, because even when the ones that have modulation and pitch bend wheels up the top have them very close to the edge, so you can put your left hand on one side of the synth and the thumb over the modulation wheels. There's an ergonomics to that, but this is like you're just going to accidentally hit all those buttons, and then you go, damn it! What mode did I just change into? That's a bit weird.
Price $979 starting. This is the Kickstarter price. So this is I was actually shocked when I saw the price. I thought, what? That's quite expensive. It does have, though, let's not kill them too much. It does have a 12 decibel per octave, 24 decibel per octave resonant low-pass filters in it. They're probably digital. They don't say they're analog. It does have effects. It's got a chorus, phaser, delay. Look, guys who are making this stuff, I know that these algorithms are so easy to download in C++ and chuck it on your Raspberry Pi or chuck it on your, whatever it is. They're just so out there and plentiful. For example, arpeggiators are out there, little sequences are out there, and things like that. You can get the stuff already, MIDI monitors and stuff like that. So what you've got to do is, if you're going to be implementing stuff like this, is what type of chorus is it? What type of phaser is it? What type of delay is it? What are the features of the reverb? Are they using an emulation of the Eventide, or are they doing Strymon stuff, or is it kind of your own thing? Have you invented your own reverb? These are the things that would make me a little bit more, this is cool. This is, they've actually put a bit of depth into this. But I kind of feel like that's not. I think they've just cut and paste a whole bunch of generic stuff to sort of fill up the features list, right? So yeah, anyway, it's got all your basic MIDI stuff on there, like Glide and Portamento, and I don't think there's really anything in there that will, go crazy. I think it's missing a screen. There's definitely a hell of a lot of space on the right hand side where all that graphics is. What are you supposed to put your dinner there? Put your dinner plate.
Is there
I mean, where Andy's
email
sitting, right?
button? I think there's an email.
Well, it's like the DX7, all the
Check your email
algorithms, right? So
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to kill it too much. It might actually be handy for somebody out there. I feel like
you get a lot of guys on Kickstarter trying to reinvent things. Like I bought a thing called Chordmonger, which is
why
a
can't
terrible
people learn
chord
chords?
controller.
Well, honestly,
No, but it's a
please tell me what is so hard about learning a chord? Even a sus
they have
4.
esoteric chords. This is the thing. They make it easy to play bizarre chords quickly. So
Like a jazz
theory board
chord.
is actually a very good exploration tool for that.
There you go. I just played a jazz chord.
Exactly. The cool thing about a theory board is it builds off the root chords that you are used to.
Yeah.
You know, the major, the minor, the
Yep.
the 7th, the 9th, the 11th, and all that kind of stuff. And then it goes under the weird mode, and also has all these ethnic scales in it and other kinds of stuff at a glance. You just go, and
yeah, it's quite good for spicing up an old familiar chord progression.
experimentation. You play what sounds good to you, and then it even tells you on the screen, oh, that's that chord. I'm gonna go learn that chord now. So you play it, you learn it, you hear it first, you play it, you like it, and now you go learn it. It's actually a good approach.
But you do have, like what's his name from Isla Instruments has got the chord bot, right? That would do a lot of this stuff. Look, I don't know how much depth they're going to in these extensions of chords, but do remember too, if you've got like Persona Studio One, or if you've got Ableton Live and some of the other DAWs, I think the Apple Logic one's got it as well. There's chord progression and chord extension stuff built in natively to those DAWs.
Absolutely.
The cool thing about the theory board is I can run it through my KeyStep 37 with the lights on the keys. And as I'm playing it, I'm actually learning, oh, that's the shape.
Yep.
So I can hear it, and I can learn the shape immediately.
So there's no visual feedback on this either. Like the keys don't light up. So what you saw is the guy pressed one key. He pressed like a black or a white key, and then it played the complex chord. But you didn't see what those chords were.
That would have been really good, wouldn't it? That would have been nice.
Which is what the
LEDs on the keys.
What yours has got, right, Andy? Your
Well, no, it doesn't directly show it because it's pad based. But when you run it through, you do MIDI through on the KeyStep 37 or anything that has light up keys. You see the shapes as you play them, so it's killer. You don't even have to go to a chart. You don't go to some weird software. It's just right in front of your face as you're. Oh, I like that chord. What is that? Oh, they're the keys right there.
Yeah.
So it's a really novel way to do it, but you have to have a couple pieces of gear to do it. It's not one thing.
Yep. Anyway, good luck to these guys. I don't really know how well they're going to go on this. The Kickstarter project hasn't even started yet, but there are 39 followers already on there. So I don't know how many people are backing it. That just as followers. I mean, anyone can follow it, right? But yeah, if you want to part with about $1,000 just under shy of $1,000 for this, go for it. I guess any more questions you could probably shoot it to those guys for sure. All right, what else we got? I think some more interesting stuff coming up. Let's start with this, Andy. So I'm just going to pop you off for a sec,
go ahead,
just so we can see the graphic. We've shown this before. I think we had like a sneak peek. I don't think we got a full look at this before. This was a sneak peek that we looked at before.
Super boothy type thing, right?
Yeah.
Is it the Erica Super Booth?
Yeah.
Booth?
But now we're actually getting a full-on. I think they've finished the development of this. We're getting this is actually now a product that you can buy. So if you're wondering what this is called the ResonantFB. Now FB is short for filter bank, and that's exactly what this is. It's a 10-band analog filter bank, and it's got digital and CV controls for each of the bands. So you've got the boost and the cut. You've got that sort of stuff.
Clever.
Very, very cool. And I'm going to show you the video in a sec. You'll see kind of how cool this module will be. Just a couple of housekeeping things with the module. It's a pretty chunky module. 320 euros is what they are charging at the moment for it. It's estimated to ship in about a week's time, 15th of September. By the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but with Erica, they give you 2-year warranty with their modules, and not every module manufacturer gives you 2 years. Some only give you 12 months. if that's a thing. Okay, so I mentioned before 10 analog. It's analog too. Sorry, I should say 10 analog filter bands. So it's like a bandpass filter type thing. Savable presets, which is really, really cool. So you've got a digital manipulation system on this as well. The presets you can for this are for the filter bank, the filter modes, a dynamic EQ, and a resonance setting. So you've got all sorts of parameters that you can chuck in there. There's a main.
So can you simulate formants with this as well, like a lot of filter banks can do?
You'll see in a sec. There's some interesting stuff in the vid. There's a main, even, and odd output. So the even and odd is to do with the phasing, I believe, right? Yep. And you've got manual and voltage control, as you saw there with the banded boost and cut. You've got configurable resonant feedback loops. Then that's interesting. So you can actually change how the feedback works with the resonance in this, and that's going to be really interesting. Some of the the timbres that you can get out of this will be really cool. You've got a clock input for synchronization for events, and also it does have a master clock as well. There's a multi-mode filter mode. There's a spectrum analyzer in this with the display you can see above. It's quite a nice looking display. Yeah. Darren, I think you'd probably like the flashing lights and display on this. Discrete morph and pattern change, and there's a bunch of other stuff on there. Now, 20 HP, as I mentioned before, 320 euros. Let's have a quick look at the vid. We're not going to go into the 7 minutes, but there are sections in here we can kind of play a little bit of each of the section, I guess, kind of where we go with this.
There you go. That's great.
Some drums.
Wow.
This is self-oscillation. No audio input. This is a sample.
That's like throwing a whistle.
It's an 808. A bit of band pass there.
That's clever. Like,
it's a really, really good display, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't give it all away, but there you go. There's the ResonantFB. You guys can watch the rest of that video. I think the price is probably about right when you think about all the R&D that's gone into this. That for a module, it probably needs to be big. And I think we talked about a module a while ago where it was kind of too much going on, and it was a performance-based module, and we just couldn't work out, how we're going to get our hands on some of the controls. This one seems to be quite a good design. Yeah, it's going to be chunky in your rack, but I feel like this is going to be in front and center somewhere for you to muck around with.
Well, you had the expander next to it in one of the videos, so you have a bunch more knobs and stuff.
There
That's
are,
cool.
yeah. So the
FB
expander is, yeah, and obviously that I can show you that it's just here. There's the expander on the right there. Yep. Obviously the expander's even more with the price for that. But yeah.
But you want that control, something like this. You want to have that.
Yeah. Who likes this?
But I've already got lots of things like this.
Yeah, that's cool.
If I hadn't already bought a Spectrophone and the what's his name? Rick Modular Knight Rider.
Yeah.
This would probably be on my shopping list. But I have those.
What is the price of just a module, Ranzee?
€320. So it'd be same
bad.
for the US dollars, yeah. Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not much more than the Rick Modular Knight Rider.
How about cheaper than the Sherman filter bank? So
I think it kind of knocks that out of the water. So
Yeah, I was going to say it.
that's only 4-band. This is
That's not
10.
bad.
And it's analog.
And
I mean, the Rick is
and
not
it's
analog
analog,
too.
yeah.
The Rick is analog though. Yeah, I don't know. Like I just kind of feel like they've covered some territory in terms of grouping the features of filter banks. It probably is missing a few tricks. Like if you think of the latest Moog product that came out, right? It could almost head down that territory if they wanted it to. So they're missing a few tricks there. But I don't know. Maybe they don't want it to do that sort of stuff. Yeah, Daren?
I said I like it. I'd probably set it up in a little small case, so it's not like part of the modular.
Yeah.
More desktop-y type.
Little 4MS module case, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe pattern it with something else and then, mess about.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
go wide with it.
I like the ability the way you can modulate each band at a different rate because you've got CV inputs for each one. So you can have, if you've got a nice multi-LFO or just a bunch of LFOs, you can put them all at different rates. And that sounded different to me. I haven't heard that particular sound before.
And I think in general, AMSynths has pretty good prices on stuff.
I
don't
love
have a
their
few
modules.
other things, but the prices are great. So
yeah, I absolutely love their modules. I've got quite a few of their stuff, and I will continue to buy their gear. I think there's some really good people behind the AMSynths company.
Sure. Gertz is a really cool guy. So
He's got something like 40 years experience, so it's crazy.
And if you want to know a bit more about that, Henrick had a show a couple of weeks back, the Senior Synth stream, where it was about.
Indeed, he did.
That's right.
So there you go. My little plug.
I appeared on the train on that one. So
I watched that while I was away.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Next one is another AMSynths 2500 stolen module, or missing module, whatever you want to call it.
Lost module. Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, Rob's been busy. This one, you can't get it at the moment. I don't know why he keeps advertising stuff that you can't get. It kind of frustrates me. But anyway, this one is the AM1013. This is another filter bank. So it's literally the same thing that you just saw in a different flavor. This is kind of 2500-ish. But also, it does have a little nod to the EMS Synth 100 replica of the Octave filter bank, which, if you watch his video, he's actually got a little screen grab of it right there.
Are these things Behringer refuses to do, or they just haven't got out yet?
No. Rob never sort of was contracted to do these with Behringer. So basically, it wouldn't have been hard to work this shit out. Basically, there was literally there was pamphlets made by Art in the day where they listed all these modules.
There's even pictures of the prototypes, like the actual prototype.
They just never came. They never came to fruition. In some cases they did, but in some other cases they didn't. And some of them are like, they only made one of them, things like that. So
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah. So what he's done, and
prototypes.
there's two benefits to this, right? He hasn't got all the engineering drawings, so he's kind of worked out how would he make these circuits, and so he's investigated and researched, in particular with this one, the AM1013, that it used the same 8 bandpass filters in the EMS Synth 100, which has the different octave ranges. So if you look at all those octave ranges there, you'll see the specific frequency rates on there, and they're actually targeted properly. But I'm not going to play the video on this. You guys can watch that yourselves. It'll be linked in the blog article when it's available during the week, because it's basically the same thing that we just heard from Erica Synths, but in a different format. There is a few slight subtle differences with this, obviously. This is based. This has a main mix out, and it also has individual outs, as you can see next to every single one of the octaves. But there is no CV control.
That's right. Yeah. So it's
of
not
any
really
of this.
the same as the last one.
Yeah.
Unless you've got really, really fast fingers.
This is kind of set and forget. This is what this is about, right? It's a set and forget type thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the Buchla has a fixed filter bank that I have a clone of.
Yep.
259 or something like that, whatever it is. And it's just a bunch of sliders.
Yeah.
No control over it.
This is only 169 British pounds, so it's pretty inexpensive. So just a bit over $300 Australian, about $200 US. So it's pretty decent. And when you think about it, you're getting that EMS Synthy technology in here. So it is a 2500 lost module, but the Alan Perlman would have got the idea from the EMS Synthy originally. So in a way, it's a cool thing. You're getting a bit of historical sounds.
Yeah, crossing over into a different piece of history.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Now there was something else I wanted to show you guys with regards to AMSynths, and we talked about it briefly when Chris talked about his 962
switch. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's just released a new module, and
It's just announced.
There's no video on this yet, so I just thought I'll take Andy off for a sec. I just thought I'd show you guys this. So this is the AM1021, which is a sequential switch, which you can use with the Behringer 1027 sequencer, which is the ARP 2500 Behringer sequencer. Slightly different to the original 2500 sequencer, I must say, because I think the original sequencer had 10 channels and this one only has 8.
Yes.
But what this does give you, though, is it gives you 3 channels of switching modes, which gives you 8, 16, or 24, and the steps, that is. And it can also... So one thing to note is that you can also get the Behringer 1050 module, which can be used for a similar purpose. And you'll notice on the back of it, it's got a modulation pin input on the 1027. But this is only a few HP.
It's only 4.
Right? Whereas the 1050 is actually quite a big module.
Yeah.
And this
even the 962 is 8 HP. It's twice the size.
Yeah.
So that would be like, oh yes, please. I wouldn't have made my case that much bigger to fit it.
Yeah.
If this was available then. But
and it plugs into the module at the back, like the other one does as well. So
yeah. So you don't have to do any external patching, which is great.
Two products from AMSynth. But yeah, there's the 1013 and the 1021. The 1021, I don't have a price for yet. He hasn't given us a price yet. No. But I would say it's probably around 70, 80 British pounds, somewhere around there. That would be a guess. That's where I reckon it would be.
So how many recreations has this guy done for stuff that didn't actually come out?
I'll show you.
Yeah, he has a page.
Is it a lot? Or just a handful?
It's
a whole page?
It's a growing list. Put it that way. A lot of them.
I had no idea they had so many unreleased modules. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Let's go to this
he talked
shop.
about on his website. He does actually. I think he has a video on his YouTube channel as well, which just goes into all of the modules that were never made.
So if you go to
Or never
the
made to production.
amsynths.co.uk and you click on your store and you click on the 2500 button there, these are all the ones that are currently available. There's 2 pages of them. So the only one that's in stock is the triple modulator. I've shown that on the show before. There you go. The Switch is $49. There we go. We got a price.
Oh, cool.
£49. That is super cheap. That's like, what is that? $60 US. That is super cheap.
Yeah.
Okay. And his gear is made really, really well too.
It's a lovely looking module.
So these are all the things that you've got already, and there's some things he hasn't made yet. He hasn't made that low pass filter yet. He hasn't made these yet. You can see they look like cartoon drawings.
If
right?
you didn't know at a glance which was not a real module, which is recreated, does he tell you right here, or how would you know?
I think it says it's sold out, or if you click on it, it goes into some information.
No, I mean the fact that he recreated these that never existed. Does he tell you that for every one of them, or does it? How do you know that it's...
So there is like Chris said, there's a video on his YouTube channel.
Okay.
We'll go to here now. There's a video on his YouTube channel which goes into he actually lists a whole bunch of this stuff.
Yeah, there's a whole lot. He shows the original brochures as well, for the black and white brochures and stuff like that.
But I don't think he covers it.
That he shows.
I don't think he's covered everything though, Chris, because I think he's like that Switch. I don't think he ever mentioned in that video.
No, you got a point there. I don't remember that one. Also, I think the other thing is that 2,500 modules were also a fixed HP for each one as well.
Yep.
They're not just vertically; they were fixed width.
Yep.
So anything where he produces it in different HP is already departure from the original.
So far I've got 2 from him of the 2,500, and I think Wagoo is in chat. He's basically getting them all when they, because he loves his 2,500 stuff. But the 2 I've got the oscillator expander, and I've also got the keyboard tracking thing for the resonant filter module, which is one of the early, I think the first one he ever made as an expansion module. We should grab this before it disappears. A big thank you to Steve for the 50 smackaroonies, and there's a hippopotamus doing a dance out of a chest, punching the air.
Yeah, he's boxing.
Punching the air, yeah.
We showed you a meme before, Steve. I don't know if you saw it, mate. What are you doing up so late anyway?
Yeah. Probably working on the score.
Yeah, so I mean, I probably will get a number of these. Some of these I won't get because I just don't feel like I'll use them. I'm not one of these collect them all type guys, but I definitely will get some of these.
Pokemon module.
Yeah. Anyway, products for this week. Finished doing the news segment. What did you guys like the most? What was interesting you the most this week?
It's got to be that Resonate.
Yeah, filter bank. Yeah,
yeah. Erica Synths wins. Very good.
Ian, you're feeling a bit left out there, mate. Because I know you're not a massive.
I know.
fan.
Sorry, mate.
I was. Don't feel sorry for me. I just made a conscious decision not to go down the Eurorack route. So and that's why I'm still married.
Just do the software version. It's cheaper and takes up less space.
I have looked to the software version. Yeah,
VCV, mate, is your friend.
Yeah.
It's a really
I've
good
got
friend.
VCV.
It's free.
Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't spent much time with it, if I'm honest. It's
my rack on the iPad. It's great.
I thought I had that, but there was something I paid for, which was a Eurorack thing on iPad, but I don't think it's there anymore.
There's Jasuto. There's a whole bunch of cool iOS modular apps.
I remember paying pennies for one a while back, but it doesn't seem to be available anymore. Yeah. But it's about time as much as anything. I am the guy that still does Max MSP, so it's not that I'm not about
You make your own
stuff.
Yeah,
Exactly. You can, and I have done. Yeah.
Before I forget too, when we were talking about the AMSynth stuff, just quickly, just before I forget, because I always forget to talk about this, I've noticed that Rob hasn't done the dual oscillator, and I have a feeling that Behringer might be releasing that. But I've been saying that they might be releasing that for a while, and they haven't, which is interesting. So if you do know that ARP actually did release a dual oscillator version for the 2500, so it was in their original. A lot of the guys who have got 2500s have got these dual oscillators in them. It'd be nice if someone like Rob or Behringer, I don't care really who does it, I would love to have that one, because the reason is because you're getting two voices, and it's using the same amount of HP that one voice takes up, and it's really just more a functional thing, and quite a lot of sounds.
Of life.
Yeah, quite a lot of sounds you want to produce, you're going to need two oscillators. So,
That's right.
Yeah, can I just say that Pseudo Reboot has just said swap wife for modular. Sounds like a good deal to me. You've not met my wife, have you?
We have, and
You have.
they are dancing with the devil, aren't they, Ian?
The girl brought me a cup of tea. What more? I mean, a modular can't bring me a cup of tea, can it?
That's a good quote. Make a T-shirt of that, Ian.
Yeah.
Modular
Mate, you
can't
wanna
bring
sit
you a
down and
cup
have
of tea. Yeah.
Ian is the president of the Anti-Modular Society.
No, Robbie's the president. I'm one of the chairman.
It's funny though, because I can always remind guys like anyone that's into those anti-modular stuff that there's quite a lot of modular desktop / keyboard type synths that have got CV in it, and you're already heading down Eurorack land.
I've got a Pulsar 23 here, and I've got all the cables, so it's it's not as if you can't see the cables, but there we are.
And people have had MS-20s for like donkey's yonks, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And that is pretty much.
If you don't patch MS-20, you're missing out. You got to patch it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
The argument against Eurorack is kind of like saying, I can't stand Tangerine Dream, Emerson, Lake and Palmer suck. Anything that they ever made is crap.
Swiss on Bach is garbage.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wendy's got no idea what she's doing. Yeah. Anyway.
It'll never catch on.
No.
That's synthesizer.
I reckon it's just got a crap name like Eurorack. I think they should.
Well, you
just
get to play
change the
old-timey
name.
telephone operator. Who doesn't want to do that? With the little cables. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robbie wants to put his boxing gloves on in chat. So
yeah, no, he just says, I know my place. I know my place. So
anyone who wants to fight him,
I'm chairman. No, we're on the same team, me and Rob.
Look,
last time I went to the local police station, they had one of the old-timey telephone operator things.
Oh no!
Oh, he's coming. He's coming back, but he's doing a Peter Garrett interpretation right now.
He's de-resing. He's de-resing like in Tron.
Did I break up? Sorry. I was just saying I went to the local police station. They had the old-timey
patch. Yeah.
Anyway, I should mention that I can make about 4,000 different types of fart sounds with my system. So if you're jealous, come at me.
Yes.
Anyway, we should move on to the next segment, which is Price Watch, and then after that we're going to get stuck into our topics. And I want to kind of get through Price Watch pretty quick because I do want to have time for our topics. It's Roland Day at Price Watch, where every single one of these, spoiler alert, is a Roland. Starting with this one, the DJ70 sampling workstation. Digital. I've got these live. This one's on Reverb. Let's go and have a look.
I don't remember this one.
No.
This is one I don't know about.
Well, you can have some photos.
I saw one once somewhere.
That's what it looked like.
Oh my god. What were they thinking?
Well, there's a spot for my beer.
Yeah, there is.
It's like the Casio Ratman. You got the little wheel.
I'd be tempted to use my elbow
You
on
can scratch. Yeah, you can scratch
Elbow
the
it.
floppy disk and it'll load different patches in differently.
that. Yeah. Who's got one of these, or who had one of these in chat? Let us know. 658 Australian kangaroo dollars. Yes, they hop around. But look at the postage. Holy schmackers. This is in Italy. I don't think it's going to cost that much to ship this from Italy. Sorry.
Nah.
I think there might be a bit of profiteering in this one.
Well, it's probably the, little bags of white substance that are coming inside it that'll probably make it so expensive to
I
ship.
guarantee you half the used gear that I ever bought has probably got traces of that crap in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, DJ70. No one in chat so far. No. I'm trying to read
Someone
it
went
fast.
somewhere. I think my local store had it, and it was gone. Somebody wanted it.
Okay, bad luck. Well, $658 Australian is only £375.
Yeah.
And it's probably not that much to ship it from Italy to GB, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Anyway, let's go next. We have the TR-808 with the Kenton MIDI, and it's been serviced.
Okay.
Oh
my God.
10,000 Australian dollars. Let's say £5,000.
Oh my Lord.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like,
just going up.
There's one photo in this listing, by the way. So you'd think if you're going to spend 10 grand, there'd be more than one photo. This guy's in France. It might be my mate selling it. I don't know. Another absolutely insane amount of postage on this, $346 Australian to post it. That is crazy.
To give
Anyway.
you an example, my friend sold his to somebody who's going to do some rack mount conversion to it back in 2005, I think he said. And it was about $2,500 he sold it for. So they've gone up quite a bit.
Well, I probably could have bought one of these in 2014 for about 1,500 Australian. So that just gives you an idea.
He sold his 909 for about the same amount like 3 years later. So
yeah. And the only reason why I
they're up there
didn't
as well.
buy it is because I was worried about the thing, being unreliable, which, to be honest, most of them are. And they don't make those, what is it? It's the unique transistors or something.
Transistors, yeah.
They don't make them anymore. So if any of those die, you're kind of you're in.
Because they're based on failing transistors anyway. That's the bug, right? That made the cool sounds. It was transistors that had issues.
Don't remind me. I got a bunch of those transistors years ago, and I've never been able to find them again.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit
One of
like
those painful memories.
It's a bit like
I was really bummed that I couldn't find them.
It's a bit like some of the chips you can get, right? For some of the older synths, you can't get them anymore. And so the only way to do it is to remake them or reinvent them. And no one's going to do it unless there's a market. So, if there's only a few hundred people in the world that need it, they're not going to make these chips again. That's the problem. Anyway.
The little boutique one is very nice, actually.
And so is the TR8, which I actually... it's an amazing drum
My
machine.
preference is the TR8S is the one that I've got, which I absolutely
That too,
love.
yeah. Those are all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're all, you're right, they're all good.
If you've got an MPC, you don't really need a TR8S. So, yeah.
Yeah,
the little mini one. It's groovy.
The mini one's it's really good.
All right,
It's
next.
the same size as
Who's got a Roland System 100? If you don't have the sequencer, you can get it. There it is there. There's the
Can
sequencer.
do audio rate.
Get rid of that. Look, this is kind of...
waveforms on that.
This is the 104. What similarities... I don't know, so I'm asking this to you guys. What similarities does this have to the 182 in the System 100M? Is it pretty much the same circuitry? I know there's a different number of steps and everything on this, right? So... Is there 12 steps on each? 24 steps, right? So there's 12 steps on each row. So that's obviously the physical difference, but the logic, is it the same as the System 100M or is it different?
Good question.
Where's Kent?
Well, Wagoo's picked up the obvious, which I already said, but what I wanted to know is how much different is this to the 100M?
Unfortunately, I have never seen the schematic for this one. I've only seen the schematic for the 182, so I can't really comment until I see the schematic for this one.
Well, I mean, we could look at the schematic, but yeah. Anyway, get one. Get some. What was the price of that again? 2.5 US, 2.5K. Probably on the pricey side, right? I guess. You know.
I don't know. Isn't everything from that system super expensive?
Last but not least, SH7, another Roland.
Ooh.
Now, we talked about the SH series synthesizer the other day when we were talking about the SH5, right? We're talking about the SH5 filter more. I think when the Behringer released their SH5 clone, I think we'll call it. Don't shoot me. Clone's a good word, but it's not really a clone, right? Anyway, this is the SH7. It's different to the SH5 because there's differences between them, and don't get nasty. But this one's got a nice original case with it too, and the case matches the. So this would probably be, if you're going to get an SH7, you wanted to sort of get all the trimmings. This would be a good one. It looks like it's in good condition. There's a lot of photos. You guys can talk about the differences between all the different SH series synths and the SH2, the SH5, the SH7. What ones do you like
Pots are
more?
tweaked a little bit. The caps don't quite line up anymore, but looks good otherwise.
Yeah. You know, look at all the different VCO, octave ranges you've got here, and how you can kind of, what is that, like a mixer? That is, let's say what are you, blending square waves or something? What are you doing? Is that kind of like a...
You've got 2 to 32 from you.
It's almost like organ sort of style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Poly 800. The different octaves of the square waves have those legends on them: 2 inch, 2 foot, 4 foot, 8 foot, 16 foot.
Yep.
Not
so
32 though.
So you can build different harmonics, right? That's the whole point of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But noticing on this that it's got that, plus it's got a second VCO, and the sync, and on top of that there's pulse width on both. So that would be some pretty cool oscillator engineering in there. To have, in a way, you've got the Poly 800-ish oscillator, but you've got the Roland oscillator, and you've got sync, and you've got pulse width mod. And I noticed the tuning up the top. You've got VCO2 tuning, so is it tuned based on a D tune, right? Is that how you guys picking it up? So it's tuning based on a D tune. So that's second.
The only. There's no other control, so it has to be.
Yeah. So you obviously they want you to have a different sort of beating sound, or a fifth or a seventh or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it goes up to 5, so
it doesn't go to seventh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you could do a third, or a BT sort of oscillator. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I've never actually touched in my life, so this is why I'm kind of studying this a little bit in front of you guys. I've never touched an SH7.
No.
I love the ring mod. Yep. There's a nice, decent mixer in the middle. This looks like a really nice kind of flagship mono synth. I mean, if you were to get it, 3,700. I don't feel that's terrible. What do you guys think?
No. For what it is, and it does look in really nice condition. So it looks,
even the case isn't beaten up. That's
hang on. For parts not working.
Yep.
Oh.
Missed that. So it's not working.
Oh,
so it's scam.
Oh yeah.
I've bought something once
the fine
off eBay. Good pickup, by the way, Ian. I've bought something once off eBay where it was for parts not working. I knew exactly what I was getting, but I knew from doing some research that if I got it, I could fix it and get it working, no matter how bad it was.
Yeah.
Even if it was just the guts that I had to pull out and put new guts in. I was even prepared for that. I just wanted the shell, really, at the end of the day. But in this case, all I needed to do was replace a fuse and it worked again. It was as simple as that. So it was really, it was like, wow.
You can win.
Are you serious?
Win sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, that explains why it's such a nice looking unit. not using it. It's broken, so it's just sitting there. So
Yeah.
it's not getting abused.
So the question is how bad is it? You don't know. So you know,
Yeah.
what do? Do you ask him to send photos of the inside? He's probably
exactly.
too scared to open it up. This could be, something that you could send to Kent. You could say, right, Kent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need the Kents of this world to have a kind of an assessment service where you can basically give it to them for an hour and they'll tell you how bad it is. For a little bit of cash, but then you can put it on eBay. Has been checked by Kent Spong, and exactly. Yeah. I'm sure he does.
Magoo was asking, has anyone done any modules on an SH7? I think not modules, but I think there was a mono synth based on it by someone. I'm trying to think who it was now. Not Eurorack. This was like a desktop-y type module thing. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's obviously definitely SH5 stuff.
Yeah.
But SH7, absolutely nothing in search on modular grid. Nothing.
Was this popular enough for Roland to put in the cloud, do you think? Or would they not bother trying to make this?
I remember someone telling me that there was something they didn't like about the SH7, and I think the SH5 was more likable. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because it's got that funky oscillator. I'm not sure. Someone in chat, who was it saying it? Dead Men Walking saying it uses very oddball and obsolete chips. So I mean, you obviously, if anyone's had experience with these, yeah. But this was kind of, you can get SH2 stuff in modular. You can get SH5 stuff. G-Storm Electro do the SH2 stuff. If you're wondering.
I have the SH2 plug out. It's very nice.
Yeah. You can get filters, can you? I can't see. I don't know where. I've looked on modular grid. I can't see filters anywhere under SH7 or SH-7, unless they've called it something else. Does it have another name? Does SH7 have another name? Like, how ProMars had a different name, right?
He's saying that.
I'm aware. There's another one for sale in America for £5,166. But he wants £1,200 to ship it.
Wow. Well, what's in the shipment? Like,
I know. Yeah.
Is it like are you hand delivering it? Irrational social fear. AMSynths do the SH2 and SH5 only, not the SH7. If you're wondering if AMSynths do it. SH07 AM1107. Wait, he might be onto something here. Hang on, I didn't see the other comment. AM.
This looks different.
I couldn't find it.
8107.
I don't see anything.
Okay, I'm on the wrong page here. AM 8107.
Not getting nothing.
I don't think he makes it though. I think he's just talking about making it.
Okay.
Yeah. There's definitely a page. He's onto it.
Okay.
Where can we do that? He's definitely talked about the high pass and low pass filters of it.
Okay.
Has he actually made this? I don't think he has, because he does do this, right, where he talks about maybe he's made one for himself. Down the bottom it says, there you go, there's your answer. It says it remains a prototype module and it's not in production. So the answer for you is, and he's already mentioned it in chat. There we go. So nobody is doing SH07. There might be a reason for it though, right? So who here has actually owned an SH7, played with it extensively, and knows it inside out? Would that be a synth? Is it like completely different to an SH5? Is it friggin' like not much different? Is there no point? I just remember somebody saying to me that the SH7s were not as good as something else. I think there was something else that came out at a similar time and they're better. But anyway, Kent's not here, and Kent would probably be the best person to ask those questions to.
Yeah.
What are we looking at? 1978? Is that really? Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the other one's 78.
So, 78, you've got... when did the Jupiter 4 and the ProMars come out? Roland ProMars, right? That came out in 79, so the year after. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if someone said to me, you can have a ProMars or you can have an SH7, I'd probably go the ProMars because I know it. I know what it sounds like. And you guys know that it's basically the same as a Jupiter 4 except one voice, right?
It's also a good plug out too, ProMars.
I always liked the Jupiter 4.
Yeah.
That was always my favourite, was that.
But anyway.
I had a ProMars when I first got my System 1.
Has presets.
Plug out.
I mean, it's one of the one of the first mono synths that came out in the world with presets. Which was, pretty... I think it might have had a Z80 in it, Chris.
It had a 8081, I think. 8080, yeah, 8081.
It had an 81, didn't it? Okay.
I have been looking at the schematics of that recently, so...
Yeah.
Well, not recently.
I mean, obviously it has to have some sort of digital manipulation to have presets, right?
Oh, yeah. And it's got a DAC in it as well.
Wow. Wow.
I actually had meant to post... I've been doing some research on that because we were talking about... No, sorry, I'm thinking of the Oscar. Terribly sorry. No, I'm thinking of the Oscar. I've been looking at two different synths lately. Yeah, the Oscar, because you were talking about the... I think there's a recreation coming out, or yes, Berenguer were talking about doing an Oscar and
a poly Oscar.
Yeah, how would you how did it produce its oscillators? And that was one where I did a bit of research on that and looking at some schematics, and there's a little hidden group of people who do not restoration but do servicing on the very few that exist, are still out there. It's kind of a bit of an ad hoc sort of for their eyes only, but it's been opened up to everyone. I found it. So, but they had some, what to me looks like either reverse engineered schematics or handwritten schematics from the original designer. Haven't been able to work that out yet.
Maybe Berenguer got hold of that.
Well, it contains mistakes, so hopefully not.
Wow.
There's some obvious mistakes in there.
I mean, if you're an electronic engineer, you'd be able to pick them up, right?
Probably, but yeah, it does take time to try and work out what's going on if you get put down the wrong path, like I did. So, yeah, no, but that is an interesting synth because it does produce. It is using an 8-bit DAC to produce the waveforms, but it does it in a very discrete electronics way. So it's not exactly easy to replicate using a CPU. Or on a high-res, high-spec ARM, without addressing what the idiosyncrasies of those old late 70s, early 80s 8-bit computing technology actually produced. Because, as we all know, circuitry back in those days had a specification, and then what they actually did was somewhere around the specification, but not exactly. What they call a theoretical function versus an actual function. So that's one of the things that creates some of the early synth analogness, even in the digital realm, if you know what I mean. The early digital stuff has that sound because it was imperfectly implemented digital.
Yep.
And nowadays we have near absolute perfection, certainly down to nanosecond precision and stuff like that, and nanovolts and things like that.
Don't ever say perfection. Computers always fail. So.
Yeah. Oh no. There are many other introduced imperfections, such as human factors.
Yes.
Which have well and truly made up for.
Didn't the Oscar have some analog part to the oscillator as well, or was it all digital? Was the oscillator completely digital? I thought it was a DCO.
Yeah. The only analog aspect of it is the fact that it has some divide down technology in there. but it
Okay.
actually divides down the signal generated by the DAC.
Right.
So it's an
it's
analog
digital
divide
generated.
of a
Yep.
yeah. So it's digitally generated original waveform, and then divide down is.
So it's not really a
derived from-
DCO then, because that wouldn't
It's
be really the
really-
correct. That wouldn't be the
it's
correct
an
name
odd-
for it.
Yeah, it's an oddball.
Mm.
It's what it is.
Okay.
It is pretty unique. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what Behringer make of it.
Well, let's completely put a pin in that because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yep.
Because I do want to talk about this. Let's make art, not content. Now, the reason why I put this up in Discord during, I don't know, what was it, last week, the week before, whatever it was basically I'm still butthurt by the guy from Spotify's comment about how
Daniel Eck, isn't it?
Daniel Eck, who he was just saying that people who put content up into Spotify, so we're content creators. I butthurt because I kind of feel like that is really, really insensitive to say, and I kind of when I first say it, this point about make art, not content, it speaks volumes when you kind of dig into it, right? Most of us are musicians. Most of us have gone through the pain to have lessons and rehearse and practice and learn music theory and learn synthesizer theory, like
Enjoy
for example,
playing.
subtractive synthesis. Then on top of that, we have some sort of knowledge and experience with creating, composing, sequencing, and producing and mixing and mastering. And if you were to pack all that up into a lovely little box, that would have a value to it, right? But that doesn't seem to translate to what Mr. Spotify feels. I feel like he doesn't really think it has a value. I think he feels like now that there's AI out there, then anyone can produce anything, or there's kids that produce from their bedrooms. I just wanted to remind people that a lot of industries have what we would in the old days call cowboys, right? Where you would have almost like a challenge to that industry where someone can come in and do something cheaper, or someone, every industry has that, right? And only the regulated industries, like for example, medical doctors and things like that, where there's actually legislation and regulation, right, licensing and things like that, is where those things don't usually happen. Okay, so there's no regulation in music. There's no regulation in arts as such. So getting back to our point, let's make art, not content. This is kind of a double-edged sword point that I'm trying to make, and I kind of want to get you guys to discuss. And in a way, I want you guys to debate it. So do you feel, personally, in chat, let us know as well, do you feel when you create your music, do you feel you're just creating content? Or do you feel like you're making art? Or do you not care? Debate it.
Well, I definitely care. I think when I'm making music, I'm making art. When I'm doing videos, I think I'm making content. Because I see them as two different things. And now I know that people that do lots of video stuff, I mean, there's an artistic element to that, isn't there? Because I've had to learn to edit video and all the rest of it, but I don't see that as quite the same sort of. It's not the same artistic endeavor that I do when I'm creating music. You know, I mean, given the choice, I have to make music. I don't have to do video in the same way. So the videos are to subsidize, or they're to show my art at some points, sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. So I definitely feel I create art, and clearly I'm not doing it for money because I'm sat in a cabin and I'm poor. so you know, I mean, it's funny because I've just read a book on D.T.H Mode, who I have to say I'm not really a fan of, but you know, there's a point at where they're making music for themselves, and people liking it, and then it becomes about we have to sell more tickets. We have to, they become a can of beans, like, which is what happens with major record labels. Then that happens at some point. Yeah. Everybody gets into music because they love it, and then at some point, the people that want to turn you into a supermarket commodity,
the popularity curse.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's nice when people buy my music, but I don't make it for them. I make it for me, and I do still listen to the music that I've made. Not all the time, but occasionally I'll go back and listen. So I don't make it for anybody else but me, really. And I think we should all do. I mean, I can't speak for others, but certainly I think that's something that you should do. Do it because you love it, not because you want to be rich. And Waggle was asking where the Moncote is. It's up here now. We can't see it. It's out of view.
Oh, we can't see it anymore.
No, I can't. I've got no room for it at the back anymore. So it is still up. It's above the guitar.
On your door.
There you go. Let me just move the camera if I can. That's easier said than done. Aww. There it is. It's there. Oops. We've got the shaky camera.
You can see it. There it is. Yeah.
There it is. So yeah. Anyway, there we go. I see it as art, and I don't rush to put it out. It takes usually it's an album a year. So I take my time on it.
I think, Ian, these things are interesting because, when you have that guy saying that comment, it was a few months ago now, about content, we're just providing content for him. I feel like, and there was a whole bunch of people who went, we're going, we're out, we're taken, right? And I believe there's still more that are slowly disappearing out of it. But there's a very old-fashioned philosophical argument. I don't know if anyone's ever gone to art school. I haven't, but I know people that have. And I think, you go, when you're doing art classes, one of the classes that you do is you do art philosophy, right? And one of the arguments is, what would the world look like without art? And then the whole class gets philosophical. They sit down, they cross their legs, they take their shoes off, and they talk about it, right? And people start going, well, we would have lots of sad people. Why is that? Okay, well, I wouldn't be able to go around and enjoy museums and art galleries, and I wouldn't be able to put my headphones on and listen to music, or how cool is Beethoven's symphony? All these things, right? And if you took it all away, if it just the world became devoid of art, it's a philosophical argument, right? So when you're contemplating,
careful though, when you want to accept art, though, you have to accept Yoko Ono's screaming about music, which is also considered art. So you have to accept the whole spectrum.
I mean,
some people like it.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, yeah, they do, and I actually like some of Yoko Ono's art, not her music particularly. I mean, you've got to say things like noise music is art. I mean, I really don't like it,
Yeah.
But for an artistic, endeavor, it's up there. Just because we don't like it.
And modular fart noises can be art as well.
Do you think, guys?
Art noise for content.
I feel like we're almost getting to the stage where there are people that are investing into these companies like Spotify and Apple Music and the like, Google and Amazon, and these investors, they want results. They want to see their dividends pay out. They want to see increased share price. They want to see all this sort of stuff. So what that then translates to is some sort of algorithm that needs to be fed. And that algorithm needs to be fed because that's based on sales, that's based on listens, those sort of things, right? We're hearing this.
Yep.
And then they know there's kind of... We've seen shows on YouTube already where they've talked about there's literally a recipe that you can make a successful pop song with. It's actually pretty simple.
Oh God,
Go YouTube it. It's really simple. Like, you guys it's a good experiment if you've never done it. Go make a basic pop song, and you'll be surprised how easy it is, right? And then upload it to Spotify. You'll probably get some plays. It's crazy.
Formula.
In the 80s, the KLF did a book called The Manual, which I have actually got a copy of it. I've got a printed copy, but you can find it on the internet. It's out there now, because as a usual KLF thing, they produced so many copies of it and then deleted it. It's of its time as well, and it's very much tongue in cheek. But fundamentally, bands have done that. They've followed the manual and they've made hit records. So you can do. You can do that if you want to.
There's an argument, isn't there, that the consumer, let's call them consumers to stick in the world that this person is coming from, will eventually reject what they think they want. This has happened over many, many millennia. When people get given exactly the algorithmic, perfect example of everything that should make them excited, eventually people's tastes just change, and people start rejecting these. And there's always, how often have you ever heard someone say, I'm really bored of such and such. I wish someone would do something a bit different to that. People get bored of hearing the same thing.
People are marketed to by companies, by large companies. So people are told that this is a good piece of music rather than sort of making their own mind up to some extent. So there is that element. I'm talking generalized. We've all got music that we like, but we are sold music, and we are sold pop music. And I agree. And there are some good pop. There are some good pop songs out there, but I'm usually come to much later and think actually that's a really good song, but I missed it was in the charts because I tend to almost avoid that being marketed to. I go out and find the music that I want to listen to. It is slightly left field. So I buy magazines like The Wire, Electronic Sound. There's a Canadian magazine that I get every quarter as well, which always comes with a CD, and it's always got interesting music. Don't like everything on it, and like yesterday, I was reading The Wire, which turned up, and there's a great band out of Bristol who are doing sort of ambient stuff, and I'm thinking, wow, these guys have been going for 10 years. And I've only just found them. So you have to look for this stuff rather than be, it's not in the charts, and it probably never will be in the charts.
Yeah, you guys were talking about the KLF before, right? And so Bill Drummond, right? He was into these crazy sort of philosophical stuff. So we kind of link to what I was saying before. So he was reading the Illuminati and that sort of stuff as well.
Illuminati, yeah. There's a couple of really good books on that,
So he got kind of really fully into it, but it doesn't surprise me that in a way he was taking the piss with the KLF.
Big
right?
time. Yeah.
And then he found that it made him a lot of money. And then he started to think to himself, okay, this is some serious money. Like he was making big money, world tours, things like that, right? And then all of a sudden he was thinking, this goes against everything that he was kind of philosophically believed in. So just imagine that challenge within that he had, right? I think we all kind of have these little challenges within where we think, am I being tested here, right? Am I being tested in what I feel strongly about, versus what's sensible? Like, we've got to survive as humans, right? So today, the only way we survive is by earning money, because that's the currency gives us food and shelter and things like that. But I just kind of feel like this comment we talked about at the start, make art, not music. Now, bearing in mind, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you hear, if you were a father and your child comes up to you and says, "Hey, Dad, when I grow up, I'm going to be an artist."
Starving on the streets.
It's interesting. My youngest, who is a very a very good artist in the sense of visual art, so painting, drawing, and his A-level tutors were very upset that he didn't go to art college, and he always said, I love art, I love doing it, but I'm never going to make any money. The best I can accept to do will be teaching, and I don't want to do. No, so he made this was a 16-year-old. As a 16-year-old, he made the decision not to do art, although that's his passion. And every so often, and he hasn't got a studio at the moment in his house, but at some point he will have. He's still got all his art stuff. And he goes through phases of making art when he feels like it.
Yeah.
And he's not looking to sell his art. That's quite something for a 16-year-old to have that sort of insight. I thought at the time. So we do have to make these decisions.
So do you this is a good question for you, Daren. Do you feel that, let's say I said to you, Daren, I want you to make a track that fed the algorithm. Do you feel, personally, how would you feel about that in terms of, would that be you making art or would that be you making content?
Would it be money that starts to blur the lines between art and content? Because when you're not earning, when money's not involved, it's your art, or any artist, whether it's music, any sort of art, and then as money starts to creep into it and it's more about the money side because you're making so much and this is great. Does that then start to blur between being art and content? Is what I was thinking. Hence why the Spotify guy just sees it as content, because in his eyes, like you said, Ranz, it's just about the money. So in a way, it's just
about the money for him.
He's not worried about. Yeah. So, but that's so when an artist becomes really makes loads of money, like Ian was saying about he doesn't make money from doing art, so he just does it as he likes it. So as the money ramps up, then it sort of blurs, doesn't it? That sort of like it being content rather than art. So I'm saying, is it the money that's no, I won't say causing it, but it blurs the lines between content and art. I'm not saying it gets rid of art completely, because yes, you can be still making lots of money and being great art, but it starts to blur the lines between the two. I
mean, but from your personal point of view, what do you feel it is?
I'm still trying to work out whether I'm creating anything, never mind content or art.
Daren, you create art. I've seen your videos. I've listened to your music.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
You do, mate. You create art.
The video that's coming out tomorrow. I would class that as. That's where I'd class it as a blur line, because I'd class that as content, but art because there's an emotion behind that video to go with the track. So it is content, but it's also partly art, because you visualize this video how it is going to play with your track. So there's some art to it. But on the other hand, it's content to get the track out there.
Yeah, that's what I feel the same. Yeah,
listen to the track.
Yeah.
So so it's like I said, that's the blur line between the art and content.
Yeah. So in summing what you're sort of reading between the lines, what you're saying is that you feel what you're releasing as a video, regardless of monetization, right? You're releasing it as art, because even the video itself is artistic, right? Because you've had it's some sort of design in your mind that you've created this video. It's not like
your vision. It's your vision to show your art.
It's not a PowerPoint presentation,
the video
right?
becomes. So it is. Yeah. Look.
Here's
the
verse.
How well will that video go across?
Here is the verse.
Here is the verse.
2 bars time. Here in 2 bars time, the hi-hat will come in. There it is.
So like you were saying, Ranzee.
I'll do a video like that one.
I was just saying, like you're saying, we spend all this time. We learn either in school or through our own devices. We buy the gear. We learn how to do it. We create what we think is art of some form or another. And it is until it becomes like, I've sold bumper music to corporate videos where I used to work. That became content. So it started as art and became content because it was leveraged as such. And the big problem with this asshole who runs Spotify, he's already ripping people off on a huge scale, right?
Oh,
Everyone knows
massively.
this. That's why a lot of
Yeah.
people dropped off
Yeah.
long before he said things. And now he's doing this whole bullshit with the AI stuff where he's basically sampling your music on his catalog, recreating music using the LLM tools, right? The AI tools, and creating fake personas with graphics and stuff and selling that as new music. So he is a huge demon in that respect, because not only is he treating you as content in the beginning, but he's creating new content from your stuff without paying you a cent. And he's making money off of those things as well. So he is content farming in the worst possible way, also stealing your content.
That sounds so much like the Matrix.
But it's what he's doing. I mean, you can go look at stuff online.
He's treating all the people on the stream as the batteries.
He is. Your batteries. He doesn't care about what you have. He's using you completely.
That's so Matrixy.
Skynet.
So,
Yeah.
It will drain your art. It will drain your artistic and create his content.
So if you're okay having your stuff up there to get more exposure, make more money, that's fine. But he's going to continue to disrespect whatever you do and treat you like garbage, and maybe rip you off to make new artists in quotes, right? So it is a real horrible system. That's why a lot of people refuse to use it. A lot of people will not put their stuff on Spotify.
Well, my family use it, right? And then when I'm in the car, I've got Apple Music in the car.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Why do you keep using Apple Music? It sucks." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I refuse to use Spotify.
Yeah,
I just don't want to use it.
I was an early adopter of Spotify. Right at the beginning, before it was paid for. So that's how long ago I have had a Spotify account. But I've never paid for Spotify, so my account has got adverts now, which I very rarely use. I only use it if somebody sends me a link of some stuff to listen to. That's the only time I would actually go to Spotify. And the royalty
I've used it maybe 10 times ever. I've never barely used it.
Yeah.
I mean, the royalty rates are terrible for all of them, but Apple Music is slightly better than Spotify.
I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but she pulled herself out of Spotify a long time ago because of his unsavory practices.
Yeah.
So.
And you look at her; she's massive, and she even does things like re-records her albums so that she can get away from nasty sort of toxic, music contracts and stuff.
Who bought her back catalogue and whatnot. Yeah. There's a documentary coming out. I don't know if it's out yet, but about that whole topic, which I'll be quite interested in looking at. Being a bit of a Swift.
And it's an interesting point because that's an example of someone who has quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Who can use that money to get around that problem. Not everyone is going to get around that problem because they don't have the money to get around that problem.
In her Eros
so does that mean only people who have sufficient funds behind them can be true artists anymore? Because that's only, the old independence is what allows art or something argument.
But I see that's no different to the radio playing your music in the 80s. So there's a lot of people that didn't get their music played in the 80s. The 80s, you would say, was one of the most crazy amount of music just being released. It was like huge. There was, but if you actually think about it, there's more music being released now than ever before. And the only reason why we know about it is because it's allowed to be out there. Like you see it on Spotify. If you want, you can go and listen to me on Spotify if you want to.
I mentioned this,
but I'm not Taylor Swift.
The band English Teacher, who've just won the Mercury Prize. Now, they're a band from Leeds. They are signed to Ireland, which is part of Universal. So they, and I have a theory that they are a bit left field, but they're, but it always seems to be big record company acts that get these type of awards. It's probably a whole different topic for another day. But every time, it's never a small independent that wins the Mercury Prize.
The big ones.
Well, then you question the award.
Prize.
You question the what's the word? The conflict of interest in the actual award itself.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
All the
I mean,
different
and in
awards are
theory,
different.
anybody
It's
can put
what's
their
going
album up
behind
for,
you, that basically.
yeah. Anybody could put their album
Pushing
up
you along
for a
behind you.
Mercury Prize award. You've got to pay the money. I can't remember what it's a couple of £100, I think. Maybe it's more. I don't know. Last time I looked, it was a couple of £100. But it's never some small independent label that gets it. It's always, an industry, a large industry conglomerate, because there's only 3 record labels now anyway. I think Mute are still independent, aren't they? They're probably one of the bigger ones.
See, I kind of feel like there's one thing that we probably should add to this conversation about art and content, right? And that is that when we're at school, I feel like it was a safe place where you were encouraged to be, actually very, very skilled in music. You were encouraged to practice, you were encouraged to learn, you were encouraged to be taught and perform. And it was, it was almost like one of the pillars of academia, where you had sport, you had science and maths, English.
Well, there's pride that comes with it. It's
music,
it's character building.
Civilization, pillars
Right.
of civilization.
Yeah, but I feel like once you leave school, it then becomes,
Mm. A shit show.
the tumbleweed, tumbleweed blowing in the breeze, right? It's
Like,
really
I just ask, because the UK education system has basically given up on music as an art. No, not just music, but art in general. I mean, I remember at secondary school,
that's sad.
the classes I really liked. I
That
mean,
is
I was
sad.
I was in, but the art room where Mr. Brunel, who was just, he was inspiring, was my art teacher. I was crap at drawing and painting, but that didn't matter. I was doing art, and I would go and do it at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Now, I know that here in the UK, that's gone. Is it still the same in Australia and America? That
No,
it's
we've
not-
still got art here.
Very much.
Music
applicable.
classes are lacking, but art is always supported.
Yeah, I feel like Australia is kind of probably following more the US model for education.
We have the sports thing as everything,
Yeah.
because you have your teams, and they make
I know the sports
school
thing's
on the
big,
map,
Yeah.
and they make money come into the school, and it's all about money.
Art, in fact, art in the US is actually pretty huge. It's in Australia as well. Like, it's pretty huge. We have big grant budgets that go out through government, and people sort of navigate through those pathways after school. They can go
I had
to
great art
university
classes
and
at
things
school.
like that.
It was fun.
So in that,
I mean, certainly-
that's another
certainly-
safety net, right? That's another safe place for you to be art. But once, like what I'm saying is, once you're outside of that, and some guys in chat are saying, let's acknowledge it, they're saying that they feel that those areas, like where it's universities or schools, they feel that it's a production line.
Very much so. I mean, that's just,
So is that then a content creation? Are you being forced to create content?
Well, if you want to do what sells,
Yeah. I mean, certainly when I went and did my part-time masters in music technology, which doesn't exist anymore, because the course that's replaced it is now about music production and about money, about making money at the end of the course. Whereas for those 2 years part-time, it opened a whole ballgame. The first thing I learned was it didn't matter that what my music sounded like to some extent. If I enjoyed making it and I was happy with my final result, then that was valid. I hadn't learned up until then. I'd played in bands, and made that sort of music. But actually, there was a more of an experimental bent to that particular course. That course, like I say, certainly at York University has gone now, and it's all about music production and about how you're going to make a living at the end of the 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you're saying, Ian, it's like you might create some music that you like and everything, and it's like, yeah, that's great, but what we really need to do is this, because that's not going to get noticed or make any sort of money.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's where it's killing your art side of it and turning you back to the content side. So we're actually creating content people.
Yeah, we are.
And I don't know
artists.
I don't know if it's the same in England as it is in Australia, but there's a lot of pressure on universities to provide what the students are requesting.
Yes. Yeah, it's
So,
the
or at
same.
least that's the
So,
way they express it.
Courses
they're
in
playing-
lots of courses in
students
media
are
and all sorts
asking.
of things. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so if they want more Ableton
Got a
courses
job
in
at the end
you
of
know
it.
electronic music, they're going to put
Yeah.
courses like that, and something's going to fall
Yeah.
off the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So Irrational Social Fear was saying, do you guys remember the flute type recorder thing that you used to blow into? It's like a little
It's,
it had little
it's
holes
called a
in it.
recorder.
We
It's
call
called
it
a recorder.
Yeah, we call
Yeah.
a song flute here, but it's the same thing. We
Yeah,
in
yeah.
school
It's
we
a
played it all the
recorder,
time.
yeah.
I learned how to play Star
Yeah,
Wars
yeah.
on it and everything. So.
I feel they were compulsory when I was a kid, but I feel my kids went through primary school, not like one's going through primary school now, but different sort of primary school. The older two that went through primary school probably 10 years ago, they were shown the recorder, but it wasn't compulsory, so you could take it up if you wanted to or not. And I think those two kids, they're now, one's in uni and one's in high school. They looked at it and went, "This is stupid. This thing, like, you know." Which what we probably did, right, when we saw it the first time.
Yeah.
But we had to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I
musically,
learned violin.
what did we learn from that musically?
Embarrassing, but it worked. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent here it's been replaced by the ukulele.
Right.
You can still get school. I mean, primary schools in particular would, they'd buy. I mean, when we had the shop 10 years ago, they would, we were supplying some schools up and down the country. Really, they'd buy like 20 ukuleles for the school. When they've got funding, because it's all about funding and about the money. Interesting. There was a comment in the chat earlier about funding. I mean, we probably don't know much about this, but certainly in the UK, you can get funding for art, whether that be music or whatever, and I didn't get the funding, but I did do a couple of applications, and it was so complicated to actually try and get the funding, and it's probably got worse since we had the Brexit thing. And it was usually European funding, But as artists, we can sometimes try and get that funding, but it's a whole lot of pain to go through it, and then to be rejected at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I feel like we need to put a pin in that topic now. I think we kind of did a good job of chatting about that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I do want to get on to the next topic though, and
this is what we used to use, the song flute. See that?
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
We had no, it's different.
It's packaged in a different way, so it looks a little different than a
different
recorder,
from
but it
ours.
was basically.
We had the Yamaha type recorder.
Yeah. Still had the
Yeah,
classic
Yamaha,
kind of.
yes.
The what do you call it? The turning style. It looks like it's a turned instrument, but it's actually made of plastic.
I tried the clarinet, which was probably a big mistake.
That's hard.
It took me ages.
Yeah, clarinet.
Yeah, well, I thought
Hard instrument to play. Yeah.
My daughter
Playing
did
a
the
reed
flute.
is not
put me
easy.
off music for a while.
My son's
couldn't do it.
doing the clarinet, but I think it's one of those ones where he tries it for a term or 2 terms or something, and then he gets free lessons, and then I think he wants to give it back. So he's already doing violin and piano. So on top of that, to do clarinet, violin, and piano all at once, it's a bit much, I think. Anyway,
so all about how hard the reed is, isn't it, at the beginning?
all right, let's move on to the next topic, because I think this one's important, especially for Andy anyway. And well, really, it's not just for Andy. I think it's for all of us, and that is, are you really insured?
Yeah.
Are you sure you're insured? Now, before you guys talk about this, I just want to mention, so let's be sensitive to Andy's situation. He obviously...
I already vented, and it is what it is.
Okay.
These MFs, I won't say it on the chat.
Just giving
on
us
the stream,
permission.
but
Yeah.
They deserve to be strung up and whatever. So
I think this is a good opportunity for us to, to pick up on what's happened to Andy and learn. Okay, he's going through the process now where he'll probably be putting a claim in to his insurance provider and things like that. Now, I did some...
Actually, the important thing you brought up is I didn't have the insurance I thought I had. So yes,
which is what I'm about to say. Yeah. So
the security system was cheap, so don't wait. Get the goddamn security system now.
So Andy, I'll get a chance to ask you about this in a sec. But what I wanted to say first is, most of us who have home studios will probably think it should be covered under my home contents policy. Now, let me just say this: what we talk about right now, this is a disclaimer, is not is general in nature. It's not going to be something that you can, take as fact for your situation. You should always
And what you see behind us
check
is completely
your
not
insurance
even an
provider.
attitude.
Countries differ in laws and things like that. So
should not be used as advice or
Yes.
taken as
Exactly.
professional qualified advice. However,
hopefully this is helpful for you. Now, all of us have, an amount of gear that we've got. Some of us have got stacks of it, and some of us have got small amounts. If you've got a very, very small amount, it might be fine. It might cover it under the umbrella of your
Nope,
home
there's nothing to see here. I have no
contents policy. But even if that's the case, I would still, just from what I've been reading on Reddit and things during the week, after Andy and I had a chat, I would definitely still go and check with your insurer. Just make a phone call and say, guys, I've got a whole bunch of gear, and some of these things individually are worth X. Do I need to take out a special policy on this stuff? Do you need Do you need? Do you need serial numbers? Do you need receipts? What level do you need? If someone was to come in and do what happened to Andy and steal all this gear, am I going to get it back, get the value back? How is it going to? So, for example, if I've got a CS80 here, how am I going to get recompense for that? Like, I know it's worth 100,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah.
Am I going to get 100,000 Australian dollars if someone steals it? I don't have a CS80, by the way.
The good news is they throw their backs out trying to steal it. So
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
All right. So, question is, are you insured? Check if you're not. Now, what would be the next thing is apparently there is these changes in different parts of the world, but apparently with your general home contents insurance, there is these extra policies that you can get where you can underwrite specific items, and then you can actually send them an inventory. And the negative side of that is that these things actually really quite add up to quite an expensive insurance policy, especially if you've got a CS80, because it's going to be something.
yeah, you got to balance, don't you?
Yeah.
The premiums against the risk.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
you'll be very surprised. And insurance policies have gone up astronomically in the last few years with all the inflation that we've experienced. Anyway, so let's go across to Andy and let's just get his. He's going through this right now. So Andy, you have home contents insurance, right? And then you can't claim everything that you've had, right?
Well, part of the problem was, when you have too much stuff and you're distracted by other things in life and even in music, and you don't necessarily like I had journal numbers written down, but not all of them, because I had stuff and I forgot to update my spreadsheet. So the cops and some stores I've already notified have some of that stuff just in case, ones that have 30-day holds. But because the stuff is so targeted, I don't think they stole it to sell it. For the most part, they stole it to keep it, because they took very specific things that most people would not want to buy. They're big, they're weird, they're quirky, they're very special in their own ways, but the average person doesn't even know what it is, let alone what it's worth. So I think it was mostly for them to use for their own purposes, which is whatever. But
Do you think they're local?
They have to be, because
Yeah.
who would drive more than 3-4 hours for that?
Yeah.
Especially not knowing when I'm coming back exactly, right? But
Do you have
it was
do you
all
have
planned out.
CCTV or do you have cams or anything like that?
No, I didn't have any system. So I was on the fence about a security system. I was also in the middle of updating insurance stuff, which got caught that way. Wasn't my stuff wasn't all declared and all that kind of stuff, which is a problem. But this is why things get in the way. You think about I'll get to it, and then it's been months, it's been a year or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's too late. So
do your neighbors have some cams, like Ring cameras or anything like that?
So here's the problem: is one had a camera, it was aiming at the driveway, ran out of batteries. One had a camera that was aiming at my area, kind of mostly on their driveway, but there's like bushes in the way, so you could see movement. You could see when they probably came and went. They're still looking at the footage, by the way.
Yeah.
But that will just give me the time they came, nothing else really. It's not going to show faces. It's not going to show anything important.
Mm.
The other neighbor had a bird camera that was capturing his bird feeder, but it only lasts for like a day. So and we don't have the culture here with cameras everywhere. They even made red light cameras not long ago because people thought it was unconstitutional. So
Right.
so yeah, don't rely on the government to have your back. Don't rely on your neighbors to have your back. Plan ahead. Make sure that you have a full inventory with all your serial numbers and everything. Do the thing which I've done on some stuff, but not the stuff they took from what I remember, is use those engravers that only show up in certain grazing light. They don't show up when someone just looks at it. So engrave your stuff to go beyond the serial number, because again, how are you going to prove it's yours by just a serial number, right? How do you really prove it was yours? I don't have receipts for everything. And the eBay stuff is a soft receipt. It's in some email I'll never find. So
there's invisible pens as
track
well,
your
isn't
numbers,
Mm.
all that kind of stuff. But the engraver is better because it
With the
permanently marks it
ultraviolet
with a very
light,
fine line.
Yeah.
I think
and in a
that's
place that
good
you
for
only
the-
know it's there.
I think that'll be good for the really rare stuff, the stuff which you can't put a value on. That's the stuff you should prioritize.
I just do it for
Put those
anything. If
kind
you're
of
an
things
engraver, just mark anything you got, right? And while you're taking your serial numbers, mark it with an engraver. I used to do that with all my stuff, and I just was behind on that.
Yeah.
And first and foremost, security system turns out to be really, really cheap. So, and by the way, you know me, I love my iOS apps, especially for music and videos and all kinds of stuff. But my new favorite app is this one because it shows everything is nice and secure, and I can just you can't even see the damn contrast.
Cameras.
This little blue thing there. I know everything is. This is live, so I know those assholes do it again. Even though everything's marked to hell, they know I'm protected. If they ever try again, I'll know immediately they're doing it. I'll drive over there and take care of business. So,
So Dead Man Walking,
let that be a warning.
Dead Man Walking
try it again.
made a comment in chat, which was about, literally was about to say the same thing. So are we going to put air tags or some sort of hidden GPS tracking
but
thing?
those batteries also die, so don't rely on those.
Yeah.
Well, they do die, but if you keep a record of when you put them in,
But if you put them inside, then you got to
a
reopen
bit like
all your
smoke alarms,
stuff, and some stuff's hard
batteries.
to open, and
it's a pain in the
I
ass.
understand the purpose, but it's not.
But it's a pain in the ass, but so is logging all your serial numbers down, engraving all your
but you
gear.
have to do that anyway.
Yeah,
you really need to do that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because when
it's so easy when you buy something, do it at the time you just received.
Do it at the time you buy it.
Oh, it looks great. Yeah. Play it. There's my serial number. I'm gonna mark it. Do it all at once.
You know why we don't though?
Like I did, so.
Sometimes we don't do it at the time we buy it because we may be thinking, okay, if I have to take this back, if there's something wrong with it, so you might hold.
Sure, yeah. If you're not going to keep it,
yeah.
But do it within the same week or something, or whenever you decide
it's
you're
hard
to.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to have when I had the office where we used to store stock, and some of my synths. Certainly for the last few months before I left Yorkshire, my synths lived there because when people were coming around the house, I didn't want them to walk into a studio. I don't know who these people are, and I wasn't going to be there all the time. So I pretty much, you saw how it was towards the end. I turned it more into an office than a studio. Moved all the synths out into storage in the office, in the office that we rented. Now we had to have a policy there. So I had a policy which was we needed public liability, but we also had a policy that was for equipment. And actually that policy, we didn't need to itemize stuff. When we moved everything out of there, I actually took out another policy because we'd given that office up. And I took out a separate domestic policy. So it's not a domestic policy, what am I talking about? It's actually a music insurance policy it's not actually connected to our house insurance. It's a completely separate policy, which I was saying to Ranzee earlier, is still valid. I'm still paying it. I need to contact them because it's got the wrong address for where the gear is. And that's the sort of thing that they would, if we were burgled tomorrow, they would turn around and say, well, I'm sorry, it's a different, it's still the same gear, but it's
any
different
excuse
location.
for them to not pay a claim.
Excuse.
Yep.
So I need to ring
is
them on Monday. I'll email them over the weekend. because I'd forgotten. You know, with everything else, like Andy says, you forget to do some of this stuff.
It's like,
you know?
Yeah.
we don't
Also take
have
videos of all
personal
your stuff. I mean, I did the
Yeah,
tour
exactly,
video
yeah.
for Clownfest, and so I have footage of everything I lost on the videos.
I mean,
Which is
And,
good
I
because
mean,
if you need to prove that you had it, you can say, well, here's
that
a
helps,
video.
That and the numbers,
The
and
receipts,
the marking, and
The
all
markings,
that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this helps everybody else. I know Andy was saying right at the beginning about the fact of your address isn't necessarily, on anything, but actually that it can be found. We luckily have a separate address. We have a separate address which we pay for every month, and that's our business address. It's not where I am now. It's not where the studio is. It's somewhere else in Frome. Okay.
But I guarantee you, if I went on that service, I found my friend, and I put your name in there, I would find your real address.
You'd find
the
my
money,
real
you'll get
address. Yeah, because
get
I mean, people pay for the electoral roll, so it's they
And
can
as
find
we were
out
saying
where you
before,
are.
those data leaks that we've all
Yes.
probably had one
That's
data
true, but
leak.
they're there anyway.
Yeah.
They really have
they are.
all of your information on them.
Yeah.
If you like.
If
And
they
certainly
want
Your
the
to,
past addresses, your phone numbers, your criminal record, everything is right
if
there.
they want to find you, they'll find you. That's
and
that's
we
the
have
bottom line.
I mean, I've got a security system here, but actually it will need to be updated in the next few months because we've got a light outside which lights up all the outside of the building and not obviously inside the house. There's a camera right outside the door so I can see people. Actually, what's really annoying about it is whenever somebody goes past in a fast car or a noisy motorbike, I get a ping to say that there's a noise. Yeah. But I'd rather have that than, exactly. And then I forget to turn the camera off when I come in here, and there's a really nice picture of me entering the door.
Yeah.
So
the problem with cameras, as the security guys told me, is they're great to see people coming and going. You may get lucky and get something for facial recognition. It's very rare these days sometimes, unless the cameras are great and the light is perfect, because they see the camera. The camera's supposed to determine. But a lot of times they don't even care. They see the cameras, they're going anyway.
Yeah.
So the
guys
they put something over their face. They shine a really bright light into the camera. Yeah. You shine a bright light into the camera, it's useless.
So I'm going to upgrade the system at some point so that, and it's okay having it to your phone, but my phone's usually on silent through the night. So if it happens through the night, it wouldn't stop them.
Well, I mean, you still have it go to the cops. If they can't get a hold of it, they'll still have the cops. But at least you have it there whenever you need it. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is they've got to find where the studio is, find a way into the compound as such. You know? It's not as straightforward as that door doesn't go. That door, maybe I shouldn't say that door doesn't go out to the house.
Don't say it.
Say too much already.
Don't say anything.
Well, like Robbie said,
in fact, we should all be sat here like this.
Robbie sent PSN yesterday. The mailman saw into his studio and goes, "Oh, you have some nice stuff there."
Yeah, exactly.
And now that guy knows he has stuff. He tells friends. They tell friends.
I'll just put up a picture of Vangelis from now on.
Yes.
The Vangelis with the Volcas. You want the Volca?
Yeah, with the Volcas. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because the people I'm working with on projects, they don't come here until we've met several times. We'll meet at the office. We'll book a room at the office. We'll even do some music there, and only when.
But even if they mention what you did in passing to somebody, they can glean information.
So there is that.
So even innocently talking about stuff with people is.
I'm always very conscious about the fact, that
I went by my YouTube moniker for a long time, but not using my name, right? Just for that reason, and I never showed my face on camera except for these shows, right? So I was pretty incognito for a while.
Yeah.
But once you get into social, make friends, and the chat people use my real name. I finally linked to Facebook because it makes it easier to find stuff. Then it's all out there. You have no privacy.
No. I mean, and it is something to be concerned about, So all the people, I mean, not everybody goes.
So you don't want to live like a hermit.
Right? No.
Be out here.
Look,
but at the same time, you got to be careful.
If you're watching this right now, even if it's on replay, and it's made you go, shit, I probably haven't done half the stuff that you guys have talked about.
Take care of it.
Just go take care of it. Honestly, it's not that hard, actually, really.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass, but once you do it, And then like what Andy was saying, every time you get new gear in, just do it there and then on the, when you receive it.
If you're going to keep it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too I recommend is like I've got a spreadsheet.
I have a spreadsheet
of all my gear. And with the serial numbers, the date I purchased it, and I do that more. It was more for warranty reasons, but it's also saved securely in the cloud. I'm not going to say what cloud it's saved in, but there's not that many clouds.
I also do it so I don't buy the same stuff over and over again.
But the reason why it's saved in the cloud is because if they come in here and they steal my computer,
exactly,
I've still got access to it, right? So don't just and even if you've got a backup drive on your computer, most people store the backup drive next to the computer
in the same room.
Right.
Interestingly, that's a really good point. My backup drive, which is a NAS system, is in the house, so it's nowhere near.
Yeah, mine is as well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it makes it
if
slow.
you're on Mac, you have File Locker on the Mac. You can encrypt your stuff. So
you can, and you can do it on Windows as well.
Of course,
and in fact, you don't even need the operating system to do it. You can actually do it at the hardware level on pretty much all new hard drives. Will have the secure feature on them and turn it on, and you can do it in your BIOS. And like a lot of people just ignore that and they just think, oh, it's a pain in the ass, I can't do it. But it's not really. It's not really a pain in the ass. It's if you authenticate with your computer, you're in. You've got access to your stuff, unless you have a lobotomy and you've forgotten everything. That's,
Yeah, I mean,
if you're
bad news.
I mean, I told you the story a few weeks ago where, my credit card was hacked. It's I don't know. We still don't know how that happened, but I got the 450 quid back. That they'd taken over 2 months by taking smaller amounts and the amounts getting slightly larger. So these scumbags are out there.
Oh yeah. We in Australia we have this thing called the Australian Government ID, and I think it's the shittiest thing that they could have ever have invented, because I know a little bit about computer science, and I have already had to make changes to my my profile because I've had warning messages sent saying that someone's tried to access.
Wow.
So even with that, like and it's an Australian government in your country, whatever government, right? You'd think they would be at the pinnacle of security. They're not. They're just like complete numpties about it. When you ring them up, right, they do not give a toss about what's happening with you.
Yeah.
They do not care. If you got hacked, they'll be like, you should have changed your password, or whatever.
Did they freak out during Y2K?
Basically, glad it wasn't you.
Mate.
Sucks to be you.
Anyway, so
it's like I keep getting every so often I get a Microsoft security email saying, somebody has tried to access your account. If this was you, that's fine. I don't have a Microsoft account.
Oh, it's probably a scam.
Yeah, there are so many great
scams.
I
mean, every time it comes,
that's a fish.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I realised that. Yeah.
But yeah, no. I've been generating a lot of those lately because I've had to change all my email addresses on whatever it is, 55, 60 different bloody accounts. I forgot that I had. You forget how many digital accounts you have these days until you actually have to change all of them.
It's actually a good idea to do that. Is actually to change your email address and then basically find out all the things slowly, and then eventually all the ones you don't need, they can just have your old email address and no one will be able to get into it.
Yeah. There's been a few I've went, well, stuff it, I don't need that. I'll just enter in a new set of credentials then. I might lose one invoice of something I bought from a music store 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They used to. I don't know if it's still there. There used to be this hack with Gmail where you could put a full stop, a dot, in any part of the email address before the @ symbol, right? And it would still work with you. It would still go to you. I think they fixed it, by the way, because it was kind of like a very,
never saw that one.
So you could put all these variants of your email address.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And before the @ symbol, right? Was it a plus, was it? Okay, whatever it was, right? And yeah. And so you could, like, for example, you could subscribe to, say you were subscribing to Softube. We were talking about those guys before. You would put Ranzee plus Softube at whatever, your domain, gmail.com or something like that. And that would be a way that people could remember what, you know, they were using that email address for.
Yeah. I did that. I did set up one of my systems to allow, that's called alias, general aliasing. Or catch-all aliasing, you call that.
Yep.
So you can set it up so that you can type in anything you feel like typing in at the time, and it always goes to the same email address on your system, but you see what address they used.
Yep.
So if you get some kind of spam that you were suspicious about, you can actually see where it came from and which service you signed up to has done the wrong thing. Having said that, I've been using it for a few years and I've never actually had that scenario. Things are a bit better now, I think.
Yeah,
or the people I'm signing up to are a little bit more legit. Yeah. But yeah, if it ever gets to a situation that happens, I'll know exactly which service has been hacked. For example, as you were mentioning before, if some of our data leaks occur, I'll actually, if I see something to an email address that I only entered in this one place, I go, okay, that was as a result of that hack. I know what's going on.
It's a pretty sensible idea. You know,
yeah.
I tried. Yeah, I ended up. I thought I'd lost it when I had to because this email service I had, this internet service provider just said, no, we're not going to do any of your email mailboxes anymore. We're sending it to this other company, but it's okay. They'll give it to you for free for a year, and then you'll have to pay the annual fee for each individual mailbox. Which I had 5.
Bye.
So I had, so what I did is I've reduced it down to 2. Well, not including free ones like a Microsoft one or a Gmail one. And I've gone with one service, the actual service that we've been extorted over, because that was really going to be a pain in the ass if I changed that address. But the other one I've done with a completely different service. And they were the ones who were doing my aliasing, my catch-all aliasing. And this is a little trap for those. I won't mention who they are. But this is a little trap. When you sign up to your mailbox, it says, oh, no, you can't have that aliasing system anymore. Because we've got a mail server now, and no, that would be too difficult. So I lost, and I didn't know this was in the fine print. It says, oh, by the way, that feature disappears when you buy a mailbox. I was like, oh, crap. But in the end, I worked out how you can do a catch-all, which is not quite as good as me being actually stipulate which address goes to where. Because what was really cool about it before was that I could type in if there was an address or something I signed up to that had been pawned or in a data breach, I could filter out that email address by saying send this to nowhere, and then I wouldn't get all that spam. I've lost that ability because I've now got a mailbox with them. So that was a bit of a trap.
I made this decision a long time ago, because I used to work in the data centers like Andy had. I know all about mail servers going down and how volatile they are and how easy they are to hack and things like that. So I just decided, well, who's the biggest company in the world that has a mail server? Google. All right, I'm just going to move my mail to them. And then it's their problem. And if the shit goes down, then they have to fix it, and you pay a small fee for it. It's not that bad, but I've been with them for probably close to 20 years, I reckon, with Google.
They've been pretty
close
reliable,
to 20 years. Yeah, and I
Okay.
don't think my email has ever gone down, not once. And Google have had outages over that time. Not many. They've had some.
Back then,
my
they had the
email
weird
has
thing. You had to
never
be
gone down.
invited, right? Didn't you have to be invited to get Gmail in the old days?
Yeah, I
somebody
got
else?
invited.
Right
yeah,
at the beginning, yeah.
because
exactly. Yeah.
Because don't forget, I used to work. I used to design data centers, so I used to get. I used to know Scott McNeely personally until he sold Sun Microsystems to Oracle. So that's pretty much how we got in.
I mean,
but,
I remember when I worked at York University, they moved over to Gmail.
Yeah,
It didn't have the Gmail look, it still looked like the University of York AC.uk, but actually it was underneath. It was only a Gmail account, and I remember them doing that, moving all the accounts over. You know?
I used to have a domain, and just recently I decided, fuck it, I'm not gonna renew it because I just was just holding on to it for shits and
They
giggles.
get expensive too.
It was like $20 a year or whatever, but I just thought, I'm just not gonna renew it. Fuck it.
Of the actual service, like a GoDaddy or something like that. It's just like, God,
it adds up.
Yeah, I've got.
And I mean, I had a heap of them, so these added up, and I just decided, fuck it.
Yeah,
and I just noticed when I sold this, not sold it, when it expired, I should say, that a whole bunch of spam had disappeared.
Oh, really?
Because it was sitting as a catch-all alias for something else that I was using, so that I was monitoring what was coming in from it, and a whole bunch of spam just disappeared, within the last few months. I'm like, that's weird. I don't hardly get any spam now. What's going on? And it was that domain that it was getting.
Wow.
Yeah.
My GoDaddy thing got spam almost immediately. It's just a magnet.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble with GoDaddy or anything, but I have a lot of people that I deal with on a daily basis that have got GoDaddy, and I try to get them away from it as quickly as I can.
It sucks.
I've got GoDaddy handling two domain name accounts for me, but I've never used email for them.
I set up a webpage to them.
There's worse people out there than GoDaddy, by the way.
For sure. Yeah.
The only issue I've got with GoDaddy is they just give you they're actually good. They're actually reliable, but they give you the basics system, and the system that they use is all Linux based. It's all free software. They charge a lot of money for it, and a lot of the times the configuration that they're using for their software platform hasn't been set up as securely as it could be, and it's susceptible to spam. It's not. It doesn't have good black and white listing algorithms in it. It's not
filtering and
it's just basic, right? So that's the reason why I would like businesses we're talking about, not mums and dads. Yeah,
in a way,
I would say businesses. If you really are serious about your business and you don't want this stuff, you should probably look at something a bit more serious. But geez, we got off topic, didn't we? We talked about insurance. So
So
I'm going to have to wrap it up, though, guys.
Right.
Go quickly.
I was just going to say the one thing about insurance is when I looked at, I valued what I had, and if I'd have actually insured everything to the full value, I'd have been paying about £500 a year.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before.
Too much.
You got to be careful with that.
So I had to balance. It's worth balancing what you think is, worth peace. We're buying peace of mind, aren't we? Really,
Well, the funny thing is, my dad's an old school insurance executive, so I should know better about insurance because I grew up around it. But
my father-in-law is, and slaps me around the back of my head saying,
exactly. Yeah.
It's all right. I hope those two topics were interesting for you guys this week. And the input from Ian and Chris, Daren and Andy, especially Andy with the insurance one because he's right in the thick of it right now. If you guys like these sort of topics where we kind of, in a way, I mean, I know this week we probably all agreed with each other and there wasn't really a lot of difference of opinion, but I do know that as we start introducing some of the topics, we're going to have differences of opinion and we will be debating them. So do you guys like that?
We can argue about crumpets again.
We can argue about crumpets and cheeses.
Yeah. When is a crumpet a pikelet? When is a crumpet a pikelet?
When is it a muffin?
It's not a muffin. It's not the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's not very nice, half god.
I know, yeah. Come on, biscuit.
Oh,
slap him around the head a bit. Come around your place, make you wake up. So yeah, next week. I don't know what the topic will be, but I'll try and sort of slip it into some, graphic or something that you guys can get involved in.
You'll make a bit of content for it.
Nice one,
Next
Daren.
week,
Nice one.
new content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
No art, just content.
Oh, dear.
Other than that, same bat time, same bat channel next week. See you guys there.
Yeah.
Press record.
J-
Be nice to your mum.
Jake's 3D in a few hours.
I'm
So
coming. Yep. Excellent.
check
Thanks
out
to all
Jake's
these
3D
guys.
later.
Make sure you guys give the thumbs up to these guys who come on the show every week as well. All right. Stay cool.
Thanks,
Everybody.
See you guys.
guys.
See you out tomorrow. My
See you
content,
next
my
time.
content's out tomorrow as well.
Excellent. May the content be with you.
I'm quite content right now.
Content is king,
or
yeah.
content. Ah, you missed a pun. Oh no.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.